One last battle remains, that's right. Welcome along to LPL Pro Grand Finals for Rainbow Six Siege Lockdown Edition as we've been kicked back to our bedrooms. My name is Matt Smite-Ross and Cthulhu. One last time, would you join me for some Rainbow Six for this Grand Final tonight?
Oh, I'd love to. This definitely has been a fantastic season overall. A fair few banger of games to reflect back on, and all of it led to this very day.
That's right. We had a banger of a top four kind of showdown near the end of the season, but it did result in only two teams remaining. And those two teams, well, we get to see them battle it out tonight. It's Ferox versus Skyfire. Two teams a lot of people would have said, yeah, I reckon these guys are going to make it to the grand finals, and here they are. But they had to get through some very, very tough teams to make it this far, Cthulhu.
Yeah, I mean, Ferox had a bit of a shaky beginning throughout the whole season. Well, sorry, at the beginning of the season, but then managed to kind of flourish further down the line. Whereas Skyfire, they came in for almost a revenge tour after their unfortunate downfall at the almost at the beginning of season one. So this is already a huge improvement for them.
Oh yeah, and of course, fighting for glory, they've been fighting for honor, but tonight they'll also be fighting for that cold hard cash and walking away with the first place prize of $3,000 dues for themselves. Of course, the third and fourth place teams that we saw last week in the semis, Bizarre and of course Exto, they'll get $500 to buy some snacks, come in and watch the grand final tonight, but it's all about that first place finish here, Cthulhu. And you know, I think we've got some pretty fantastic teams who've had a pretty fun journey. I mean, you already mentioned about Ferox and how they maybe struggled a bit at the start of the season, really picked up near the end. Same thing with Skyfire.
Yeah, Skyfire were just getting better and better with each and every matchup that we saw. They were absolutely just fluent on some of their attacks, on their executions. Each one of their players is highlight worthy. And honestly, it's a pleasure watching them just go out and get frags and just win out the rounds. It's definitely a huge kind of glow up for them comparative to what they were back at season one.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned, you know, they're a pleasure to watch. I mean, just looking at Skyfire, like right there, that's something they do pretty much every game, every series. I wonder if they'll do it in the grand finals tonight. But they make it really easy to be a fan of Skyfire. There's so much personality in them when they run out. You can see them, I mean, just there, teabagging, well, maybe not teabagging, but jumping up and down in joy. So really easy to be a fan of these guys. Ferox as well, they've been having a great performance. They're a little bit more serious, down to earth, you know, get the job done kind of guys. But I reckon, you know, they still love to have fun once they're in it, and you can see it when they play. You can hear it in the interviews after they win too.
Yeah, so having Sushi on the interviews is always good fun. He's always kind of gives us that good kind of chill vibe, gives us a good insight on some of the plays and some of the ideas of what they had before the matchup. So it's always a pleasure to see them on the interviews, in the matches. And honestly, here, I reckon it's just going to be two titans just colliding, and this is definitely going to be a very long and a very huge battle here between these two teams.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly, it could go all the way to game number 5. I mean, last 2 weeks we had semifinals that only went 2-0. Of course, they were close to an O's, but we didn't get that third game. Maybe we get all the way to game 5 tonight. But Cthulhu, we've got to take a look at the players that are going to be jumping onto the fields today, because of course they are the stars of the show. So first up, we're going to take a look one last time at the lineup for Ferox, led up by Deptra, along with Sushi, Warden, Shade, and of course Todd, the grenade master himself. These guys, I mean, I think you could say something about all of them, but I mean, some players that just stand out all the time, like Deptra, is just such a treat to watch sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the whole roster has a phenomenal amount of experience all throughout the whole history of NZ competitive Siege, and they just bring it in all in. They always keep on experimenting, keep on bringing in something new always to the matchup. So yeah, it's always the whole matchup is honestly a highlight whenever this roster plays.
Oh yeah, and of course it's going to be a highlight tonight because they're playing against Skyfire. So let's take a look at these guys one last time. Led up by Smacker, along with Archie, Jigsaw, Kubrian, and Sequence. Again, you can say all of these players have had their moments, and you'd be absolutely right in saying that. But definitely watch out for players like Smacker, like Archie, even Sequence as well. Jigsaw had a great performance during. I mean, yeah, here we are just naming all the names, right? That's how good these guys are.
Yeah, they are all a very capable set of players. They're all able to frag. They're all able to utilize the utility. They're all able to get some good teamwork going. And this is the reason why they are the seed #1 within the playoffs.
All right, and now I think it's time to show off Cthulhu's big brain here, because before the show we were talking about who's going to pick which maps and what order it's going to be in, and well, I mean, Villa, Clubhouse, Oregon, Cafe, and Coastline are going to be our maps here tonight. You called every single one of them, and who picked which one?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I went through. I actually have it all written down as well in the book as well, saying predicted maps in no particular order was Oregon, Clubhouse, Cafe, Villa, and Coastline. But I had Coastline written down as the decider map as well, which, well, funnily enough, it is the decider map as well. So yeah, I'm honestly quite stoked that I was actually able to predict all of these maps as well. But yeah, honestly, I reckon this is going to be a very kind of down to each and every round kind of matchup. I reckon we will be seeing at the very least 4 maps to be played at. I don't think it will be a full 3-0 run here between the two teams, just because it's a bit unnatural, especially for grand final. And I don't think there is that much of a skill gap between these two teams. So a 3-1, maybe 3-2 could really come around. But ultimately, yeah, I definitely think that 4 maps are definitely happening.
But can I put you on the spot and ask you who you think's going to be the one to get the 3 maps?
Oh, if we are going 3-2, I'm saying it's Skyfire. If it's a 3-1, though, that's a Ferox.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of in a similar boat, but I think Skyfire has maybe just a bit of the edge, because, of course, you look at last week's semifinals, the week before as well. Both teams coming off with a lot of momentum, but I got to say, Skyfire probably performing a little bit more one-sided than their one. But let's forget all of that. That's in the past, Cthulhu. Let's get into map #1. It's Villa. It's brought to you by WD Black, the fastest SSDs you can possibly get with tons of space. So make sure you pop off and get one of those. But before you do all that, tune into this grand final right now. Skyfire versus Ferox onto Villa.
Oh man, this is definitely going to be a bloodbath, because Ferox were able to perform some really good score lines before for themselves on Villa, but at least from my memory, when I was doing some of the notes prior to the previous matchups, Skyfire are just a tad bit more efficient there. And as we are seeing as well in the ban phase, we will be seeing the hard breaches get really nice up close and personal, and that is actually what Skyfire won, because the moment the vertical gameplay comes into play here, they are the masters of it. And the moment they can bait in, say, it's a trophy statuary hold, they can bait in the Thermite to start going in for the plant. Not only they can deny him with the impact tricking, as well as that, they can be a nasty C4 with a pulse playing from down below.
Yeah, and we have actually seen that it's been a bit of a sticking point for a lot of teams, where if they can't get the hard breach done, it's almost certainly a loss sometimes, unless they pull off a pretty magical clutch. So it's always fun to see. I mean, Thatch is always going to be banned out, but the Hibana ban definitely stands out, like you were mentioning, because now, like you said, we're getting up close and personal. Maybe Maverick will show up here. It does show up a fair amount on Villa, but again, he runs through a few similar issues. Yeah, you don't have to worry about getting impact tricked or anything, but things like the smoke, throwing his gas, letting it leak through the cracks you've already made, pushing you away, plenty of ways to deal with it.
Yeah, another thing to mention as well is that Echo actually was able to get through the ban phase, which Ferox have been seen using quite a fair few times, but obviously not at the very least in maybe the first set of rounds, maybe not on this map, but namely Cafe has seen them whenever Echo was not banned to use it in a very efficient manner. So I would be expecting to see a few Echo plays, maybe not as frequently as Ferox will want, but looking so far at the general kind of lineup, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Skyfire. This is definitely tending to their kind of very aggressive momentum-based gameplay. Not a single operator is one speed. All of them can swing. All of them can get a huge up in the momentum.
Yeah, but Cthulhu, they can make it quite binary, of course. You know, when you don't have a whole lot of armor, you can be, there is the weakness to that, right? You might be fast, but you'll go down quick. So you've got to be on point with that. The headshots are going to count for quite a lot, but it's quite valuable when you're running into things like Pulse, that Deptra's going to be running here. The extra speed is going to help just happening to dodge some of these C4s that might be flying through the floor. So can be pretty fun, but I think it really does come down to, like you're saying, that aggression. And I want to see which player on Skyfire is going to be the one to pop off this week, because last time it was Sequence and Jigsaw as well, kind of on his trail. So those two had an amazing performance last time they were around. So I'm keen to see if they can pull it off here again, because I think it was on Villa last time as well that they had an excellent performance.
Yeah. My probably prediction here is going to be either Jigsaw and Smacker on the entry kills. If we want to go by the clutch momentum, I would probably lean towards Mateus and maybe Sequence. Archie will probably have a bit of a chill time today, but yeah, maybe not. And probably Skyfire will roast me after that.
Yeah, you gotta praise every single one of their members, otherwise they can be mean to you afterwards. But that's fair enough because of high pressure here in the grand final. But we have seen already Jigsaw and Smacker make a good amount of progress through the building, making sure they can get all the way towards the site, and just like that, now they're making the distance. We're still getting some droning out here, just of course getting all that information they need. But now we're nearing that site Cthulhu, so we're gonna have to start opening up some doors or clicking on some heads.
Interestingly enough, actually, Skyfire are actually playing a fairly passive game. Well, just as I say that, we do see a bit of a trade to come out, a Mozzie for an IQ, but that is a huge, actually, trade-off here in favor of the defense, just because all the electronics are now going to be fairly safe now, or at the very least, much more safer now, and Pulse won't be tracked through the wall and the floors.
Yeah, and not to mention as well, like Shay kind of already, hang on, those Archie falls and is finished off as well, but it's traded straight back onto Sushi. So we're still sitting here at a 3v3, and it can still absolutely be done. Skyfire, they don't have the breach yet to go, but they've got a little over a minute to make it work here.
Yeah, the moment Smacker's drone will be able to get the information saying that Memorial Room is pretty much all completely now denied, they might be going in for a push into the kitchen. There will be some pressure applied by Smacker, I would imagine, but it's actually sequenced to find the shot. So right now, this could be very much swung into the favor of Skyfire, and there it is. It's actually a 3v1. Now all down to Warden now to try to bring in the clutch. He is able occasionally to pull off, but right now, the way how things are looking, things are definitely not very favorable. He might be able to swing off some of the momentum. Flashbangs definitely do not connect as well. So right now, maybe a few exit kills here and there, but apart from that, I don't think he will be succeeding here.
Yeah, well, he's put his big boy pants on and starting to make the moves here to see if he can clutch it out here. Warden and the rest of his team likely praying for some good shots. That's a good one there with the head. Ripping it off here. Warden's still got 2 more to go, but now they know where he is, and they are punishing him for it. No health left to pull off the 1v2. Skyfire, they get it nice and clean in the second half of that round.
Yeah, very nicely done. Skyfire able to kind of initially poke around, unfortunately lost a few players, but then managed to really find that pressure point and managed to kind of just swing in, get those frags, and pretty much take full control of the site. So nicely done by them. And for Ferox, well, this is going to be a bit of a rough start here, given that they had a solid setup for their side. They had a really good anchor positions, but a few shots didn't really connect, and well, that ultimately resulted in their own demise.
Yeah, and I think it also comes down to Skyfire just having a really clean push with their last 3 members. I mean, you saw the swings. We were just talking about how important the speed on the operators is, and if they get it done, they'll get it done really well, right? You know, they either die or immediately kill their opponents. So
yeah, that's the beauty of Skyfire. They seem to be able to always really just to trade out their players very quickly, no remorse whatsoever, just kind of just hard, cold coordination that they are able to muster pretty much on each and every round.
Now, I want to say that Ferox is going to go with something real fun here. You've got a lot of trickster kind of play styles coming in here. You got Vigil, you got Alibi, some very kind of annoying operators to deal with. Of course, Deptra's very deadly on that Vigil, as long as he can stay hidden from a certain drone. But yeah, he'll be able to clear that one out. And yeah, so Deptra's going to be one to watch. Todd as well, I want to see what he's going to be able to do here on Alibi. Very creative player, Todd, and so Alibi can definitely unlock a lot of that creativity. Of course, It's got to go slightly better than what we saw in round 1 here, but all things considered, Ferox did, trade back, and here, they don't even have to trade.
Okay.
Immediately take Archie off the board. See you later, Maverick.
Yeah, taking out Maverick is a huge thing here right now for Ferox to get some early momentum, because now Skyfire are going to be forced through all of the reinforcements, through all of the setups and choke points that Ferox already prepared. And, well, for Shade, he's just lucky to be able to run away with literally no damage taken, albeit now he's going to be hunted here by Jigsaw with the Commando 552 rather than the G8. So maybe for now, Shade is going to be in a relative safety, but it doesn't look like he's planning to really stay in that safety. He wants to take more of those gunfights, and well, maybe he just might be able to find some.
Well, peeking through the window, he's about pinned down right now, but he may be able to find a way to get out, and looks like he'll just retreat for now. So no more kills will come out of that. That's a lot of time now down the toilet, and when you're working with a 4v5, you need every second you can get.
Oh yeah, sure will. This is where Skyfire will be starting to get their drones in, trying to figure out where their next push is. They already granted themselves that kind of the early foothold, but they need to get rid of that Wamai. They need to get rid of those crossfires, because the control over at the 90-degree hallway is going to be huge. There's the frag by Shade. That's a second one, matter of fact, whilst Deptra went down. So at the very least, they only traded out their roamer for the two, probably one of the rather more important players. Now make it 3 as Todd picks up another one. So this is looking definitely like a Ferox round.
Oh yeah, things are just quickly falling apart here for Skyfire. Already quite hard from the start. Smacker trying to find what he can, but as we can see, nobody behind that wall. He will not get any kills from that one. It continues though, as Ferox find yet another one. Smacker, the next victim, all up to sequence here. We talked up his game beforehand, and 2 kills is already a good start to make this 1v2 happen. He's got the diffuser in hand, but he really wants to hunt down Warden and Shade here. They should know roughly where he is right now, so no more hiding. He's just gonna have to get the peek, and this one, he just needs one more. He's at full health, and he gets it. Sequence. The madman pulls off that clutch and gets the second one in a row for Skyfire.
Oh my god. The absolute mad lad. That is Sequence. Just managing to just bring the one, I believe actually that was a 1v4. That he was just able to turn things around. Almost an ace. I'm not too sure whether it was him who found the... No, it wasn't him who found the kill onto Vigil. That was Mateus. But nonetheless, a 4K to clutch it out, that is huge, but also partially the fault on Ferox.
Of course, but now we're going to talk about how, I mean, obviously that means great news for Skyfire. They're going to be roaring. The boys are probably cheering up Sequence on chat right now as we're talking, but for Ferox, they're going to pull themselves together. They just threw away a round there. Now they're staring down, a 0-2 scoreline. Not the end of the world for sure, but that was a round that was yours. And that could feel devastating to lose.
Yeah, that is definitely tilt-worthy, but I don't think Ferox will be as much upset, at least this early into the game. They still have a little bit of a ground to really cover before they will be feeling a little bit more desperate, but I would imagine that they would want to make things definitely in their favor a little bit earlier than maybe map number 1 on map number 2. But yeah, honestly, this was a grand showcase by Sequence here.
10 seconds remaining.
If anything, it tells me we should expect great things from Sequence. We already kind of were, but now it's sort of confirmed that it's very likely going to continue here. I wonder if we'll see more clutches like that, because that was pretty excellent here. But we'll see. We'll see. Ferox still yet to try and pull one off again. Remember that they started off that round with a great spawn peak. They're not going for it this time, but you still have Shade hanging out downstairs. He did buy a lot of time for Ferox last time. Obviously getting the kill was great, but also drawing a lot of their attention. He may be able to snag one here, and he does, and he'll just boost it out of there.
Yeah, that's the beauty of how Shade is playing right now his game. He's going for that kind of hit-and-run tactic, being able to poke out, get a frag, and then bail out. He's not really hungry for any more kills, or at the very least not yet, and that is exactly what keeps on granting that kind of that almost intrinsic kind of momentum from the get-go of the round into the hands of Ferox.
The difference this round is that at least we're still looking at a Maverick for Archie. He's still alive, still going to be able to pull off a breach here. It does sting to lose Smacker on that Ash. Can certainly pull off some pretty excellent frags there, but at least they can still get through the wall here. Not a whole lot of time has been drained, so at least they don't have to worry about Shade, but Sushi may be another problem if he continues this push here. He's holding down a dirty little angle here, but even dirtier here, Cthulhu, could be what's in Shade's hands if it ever goes through this wall. I'm waiting, and so is he, but Jigsaw, he doesn't want to wait any longer, so he'll take Todd out of the picture here. But come on, Shade, just throw it.
Yeah, Shade just waiting for the moment the push is gonna happen. Oh, that frag grenade! Oh, that was huge. Archie managing to pretty much learn and figure out straight away what the go is. Able to really make it work. Fantastic play. Curious how will Sushi really play out his role here, because he, as an Echo player here, could actually turn the tide into his team's favor. Unfortunately, at the moment, can't seem to be able to grant himself a frag. Neither is Deptra on the Maestro, but actually, surprisingly enough, able to actually down sequence. So at the very least, that's at least a pseudo 3v3.
Yeah, that sequence will get back up onto his feet. Sushi also hanging out, looking for some toes to rip off, but doesn't find any. Deptra trains it back now, even without barely any health right now. This is a tight one. 2 full health members and 1 low health on each side, but it's on Skyfire to make the push. They've got to find Deptra. They've got the diffuser. Just 1 more room and 1 more frag. 2 more, and it's just Deptra remaining. And he was the one with barely any health to start with, staring down a full health Mateus and a full health Archie, who are both staring at his position. They know where he is, but of course he may know where they are, because oh no, never mind, the frag lands completely on target.
Archie has been 2 for 2. Both of his frag grenades has been really accurate, really well done, and it seems that just Skyfire are just that much more prepared than Ferox, and maybe it'll take a few rounds here for Ferox to really warm up, to really figure things out, but whilst they're doing it, they're already losing out a whole lot of rounds. Already, a 3-round disadvantage is a huge thing here, and if they won't be able to net themselves even at least 2 rounds here on the on the first half, it is going to be a rough game for them on Villa.
Oh man, and Cthulhu, you got to remember as well that the last 2 rounds have started off as basically a 4v5, all thanks to that man down there on Mozzie Shade. Obviously Spawn Peak, great, but and to be fair, round 2 was basically Ferox's. It just kind of got thrown away. Round 3, a little different. You know, Skyfire certainly brought it back really strong and still did it from a 4v5. It just feels like you can give these guys a disadvantage at the start of the round, and they still managed to find a way to pull out a win here. At least that one was quite close near the end, but again, kind of like round 1. Skyfire just had a much stronger second half of the round. They're so great at going for those swings with those high-speed operators, getting those shots off nice and quickly, efficiently, just going for the heads, and it works.
Yeah, just clicking heads, getting the frags, all that was really needed there. So a good, solid start here for Skyfire to get their momentum. They are a more so of a momentum-based team comparative to what Ferox is, and right now, they're in just about as perfect position as they can humanly get, really.
Yeah, that's something I've learned about Skyfire over the last 2 seasons, is that once they get rolling, it can feel very tough to stop them. They feel good, it's very hard to put any pressure on them. It doesn't matter if they start off a round on a 4v5, and you know what, let's do it again here. The Smacker, for I think the 3rd time in a row, is the first one to fall here in this round, into round 4, but don't count Skyfire out at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be counting them out at all whatsoever. Smacker, yeah, dying for the 2nd time there for himself. Unfortunately, won't be able to see any kind of play out for himself, but he will at the very least be able to relay the information via the drones that will be positioned by his teammates. So at the very least, his job is not over yet here in this round.
Quite rough, but you know, we can see if they can do it. And again, we're back to the Vigil and Alibi, so a lot of tricksters coming in here. But, I mean, just look at this. Jigsaw's going to be able to track pretty much every device that he needs to clear out the room incredibly easily. So the progress should be easy, but he's got Shade on the hunt. Shade is going to be able to find out, all right, you know, my stuff's getting blown up. Oh, hang on, though. Someone else is getting blown up. It's Todd getting his 2nd kill of the round here on the sequence. Another high-value member to take out. This one's feeling like a Ferox around here, Cthulhu.
We said that before in round number 2, and well, look what happened. So I wouldn't be holding my breath just yet for this. This is looking like a really nice, really well planned out push already. With Mateus going down, it's all down to Archie now as Jigsaw falls. Another frag grenade nearly takes the life of the Ferox member, but so far now this is looking like a Ferox round. Finally, they're able to clap back, and well, they're able to clap back with quite some finesse as well, as it is a flawless round.
Yeah, now I'm feeling a lot better for Ferox. So mostly just that they got that first point in the board, they'll feel a lot better themselves. So their own momentum can start going. They're at least slowing Skyfire down just a touch there and saying, yeah, all right, we can start closing out these 5v4s from the start. I want to see Skyfire, though, start dealing with that, because that's now 3 rounds in a row where it's either a spawn peak or Shade finding a kill incredibly quickly. So I think Skyfire are going to have to sort this out. They can't just go through the rest of the grand final. You get dying to things like spawn peaks or just someone camping a spot. So I like the creativity from Ferox pulling it off, but it shouldn't be something that Skyfire are consistently falling for.
See, here's the thing, though. Skyfire are a very aggressive team, so seeing them kind of almost rush straight away to the point of entry and try to make the entry into the building as quickly as possible, that is what they've been pulling off for pretty much, if not the full season, at least for the second half of the season. They were getting more and more aggressive the more they were learning that things could be swung in their favor really quickly. So here, it's almost natural that Ferox are doing that. They are playing for their momentum. But I would agree with you here, Smite, that maybe Skyfire will have to slow down. But if they would, ultimately, this could completely thwart any kind of momentum gaining potential that Skyfire could have.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Well, maybe a little bit of naughty plays here. Warden was seeing if you could get anything. Very safe, of course, on the dock. You can always heal yourself back up, but saw a few other members of Ferox kind of seeing if they could spot anything else as well. I know Todd and Shade were looking at some windows, but it looks like for now, Skyfire won't have walked into the bear trap again. They'll be able to start this round for, the first time since round 1 with 5 people to try and pull this one off. Of course, Shade is still camping a few entrances here, and he's been very successful at it in previous rounds, so we still have to hold our breath a little bit, but it looks like this time we'll get a proper 5v5, or maybe not. Shade is going to be the first one to fall.
Yeah, the moment Shade decided to drop down, this is where Jigsaw was able to read into that play. At the very least, Todd and Deptra are able to refrag, so at the very least, the death of the Mozzie did not go in vain. 2 very important players and very impactful players have gone down. That is Sequence and Smacker, and well, right now, in a 3v4, things might be starting to rile up a little bit just more as pressure onto Skyfire is starting to escalate.
Yeah, it's going to be quite hard to come back from this one. I mean, Jigsaw and Archie are going to be busy doing their thing, so they won't even have a gun out half the time. So it's going to be a lot of Mateus to pull off a lot of these frags here. And he's got a pretty decent position. He can flush out the defenders as well, but Archie is really quite vulnerable here if we see Ferox kind of make any kind of push on them at all. You can see they're starting to run back up. You've got Sushi, who's still downstairs, about to head on up as well. Todd's still just around the corner, but hey, they get the preach off, so Skyfire really's got that going for them so far, but down below, waiting patiently, Deptra is happy to steal that kill there and even just dropped a diffuser right there.
Yeah, that was a solid beginning, and this is what I was talking before. With the fact that Hibana is banned, the hard breaches have to be up close and personal, and that is exactly what Ferox were waiting for. The moment those breaches kept on going, line up a C4, get the frag, and well, that's Archie off board, but it's still a 3v2. Mateus is a very able fragger here for Skyfire, and they are very much able to bring the heat here. So right now, between himself and Jigsaw, they could actually pull off a clutch here, as we just see the fantastic headshot by Mateus, but straight away punished by Deptra. All up to half health Jigsaw. Can he land the shots? It doesn't look like it, at least just yet, but Todd is just around the corner. He's going for the pre-fires, and well, subsequently also showing his position here. Already a pre-fire coming through, a bit of a game of pre-fire rather, between the two teams, and well, it's Ferox to take the dub.
Yeah, now we're getting some really good consistent rounds coming out from Ferox. When they're dropping, they're at least trading back, but most of the time they're able to start just getting kills for free. And I think that's really important because they do it throughout the round rather than just a cheeky little spawn peek. And so now it's looking like things are looking a whole lot proper. Remember, they lost Shade like pretty early on during that round too. So that was also another way for them to come back from that one. They traded them back. So I really like what we're seeing coming out from Ferox. And I honestly feel like we could be looking at a 3-3 half here, just the way they've been going so far. Now looking at some pretty decent firepower again, because you've got, the Vigil coming out. Mozzie with Shade has been working out wonders so far. And then you throw a whole lot of armor on top from the Rook. And, well, suddenly it feels like Ferox can just anchor down and, maybe have one or two members roaming and just purely win on gunfights.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if we will be seeing a 3-3 scoreline here. We saw a few times when teams would trade kind of the perfect rotations of the sites, whereas one team would claim kind of the first quarter, second team claiming the second quarter, and then kind of move on from there. And between these two teams, we have seen plentiful amount of times when they will be trading rounds, trading streaks of rounds, and then ultimately lead it all to the overtime to see one or the other team win. I mean, even to talk about the history between these two teams, we saw them back on Oregon when they were playing in week 5. We saw an 8-7 scoreline on Oregon where Ferox won just by, I believe, a 1v1 or 1v2.
Oh yeah, like that was probably some of my favorite Siege to watch this season. It was honestly just such an intense match there. But you're right, it can go back and forth, and there can be just the difference between a few 1v1s. Maybe even that clutch from Sequence in round 2 could pull off a win here for Skyfire. But we've got one more round here for them to get a better half on attack, or Ferox can maybe draw it out again. Looks like this time we're also still going to get a little bit more of a standard entry here. No one dying straight away to anything cheeky. Ferox haven't gotten any free kills just yet. But for now, it's mostly just going to be anchoring down. But we know Skyfire are nice and aggressive. They like to push and they like to live drone as well. So everything should be fine for them unless we see Ferox make a push against them, and it's got to be aggressive.
I'm surprised actually that Skyfire did not go for a push onto the study, or at the very least early push for the study, because that's where Deptra are playing. And Ferox so far were known to be playing a very, very aggressive kind of play style for themselves. So I'm slightly curious / confused as to why is that not being done yet. But hey, for now, at the very least, Skyfire are already making some advancements. It's Mateus and Archie actually making the moves here. And Deptra might be onto something here if nobody will pre-fire that spot.
Yeah, he's been waiting here for quite some time here. Really wants to get it, and there it is.
Oh, man.
He doesn't manage to get it, but just, in the background, we've got a whole lot of kills going down, but Skyfire the one to come out on top. That is a very low Archie. Can they finish it off here? It continues. Todd has to retreat, though, as he doesn't find anybody.
And not at all. Mateus is able to punish Sushi as well. Now it's down to one anchor and a roamer. That's Todd and Warden, the two veterans of ANZ competitive Siege. And, well, can they beat the new blood, the onslaught of the absolutely nuts players that are Skyfire players? And, well, it certainly looks like quite a tough challenge here.
All right, nice little hole to shoot through from Warden here, but now they know where he is. That desk may not protect much, but it's just going to be enough for him to get 2 kills and get out.
Oh my god, Warden absolutely being nutty about all of those peaks, all of those shots, all of the gunfights, nearly able to take care of Mateus, but now it's all down to Todd. He did drop down, was heard very clearly about his drop down, and well, now with so much information being relayed between both sides, it's Skyfire that will be able to finally claw out that round.
Well, I got a little worried there. Maybe Todd was looking to pull something out there, but yeah, he didn't get the first few shots there, and like you said, his position kind of thrown away, but Skyfire, they would close out that half. It's a nice little 4-2, so definitely utilizing that good lead they got from the start, not letting Ferox get too much momentum back. I think, Ferox got 3 rounds in a row to kind of tie it up. That's where things could have started to get real shaky. Now, realistically, Skyfire could be looking at just pushing them away. Now that they get to go into defense, maybe they can just start winning round after round and just skip overtime, because it feels like Ferox are quite far behind at the moment. They killed a bit of momentum there, but we still look at the rounds individually. You're not thinking about round 2 anymore, right? That's just gone in the bin, right? That clutch. Right now, each of these rounds are going back and forth, real close, down to the wire. No team is looking to stop each other just yet right now. But like I always say, that can always change when we swap the sides.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Skyfire ended up bringing the Villa here. They were practicing it on a few occasions. They weren't playing it always frequently or consistently through one week or another. They would always space it out with occasional Oregon, occasional coastline picks. So it definitely introduced some sort of uncertainty for Ferox here. Plus, it's one of those maps where they can flourish, especially on defense. They're an absolute force to be reckoned with. And for Ferox to kick things off their attack as well on a 4-2 scoreline with them at a 2-point disadvantage is certainly going to make things quite a fair bit more difficult, but not impossible to come back from.
Now, Cthulhu, I was so tied up talking about my point that we may have missed an operator pick here by Sushi, and it may be an impactful one as he gets the first frag on the sequence that Amaru going to be making work.
Oh yeah, Amaru with a G8, especially post-buff, is a scary operator to play against. She can swing in harder than probably Ash as well, and can really get the momentum running there. Smacker's position here could also be very powerful if Deptra is not going to be too careful, especially with him being low on health. But right now, Sushi couldn't be the main playmaker here, as Smacker does manage to find the shot onto wood. And so here, he already has the point right onto site. He can cut off the rotations here, and this is all that they would really need for it to happen, as already it's a 3v4.
God, I love watching Todd whenever he's got a grenade in his hand, just use it so cleverly to flush out the defender, manage to get the kill on the Smacker, and then now his team is looking with a pretty solid advantage. They look after Deptra, they should be alright. Sushi, though, got hunted down, didn't manage to make that push. So now we're looking at a bit more even matchup here. Deptra's still quite a bit low, so could be rough for Ferox to pull this one back, but I mean, look, Skyfire, they've got some solid positions, but here we go. We've got Ferox starting to close in on them. Got to be careful about Jigsaw just waiting around the corner for his next prey. And he may even be able to hear through the castle wall. Archie, though, has found Todd for a double kill, but it's all about Jigsaw right now, waiting for his prey to turn the corner. Knows that they have to make the move eventually. And he does get paid off with it. Now just a single attacker left here for Ferox. It's Deptra. A star player for sure, but a 1v3 with a quarter health may be a big ask for him. And there it is, just dropping down. Jigsaw will be happy to pick that one up for his team.
That's already a 5th point here for Skyfire, and oh yeah, Jigsaw was just absolutely phenomenal on some of his roams. This is certainly looking like this is the map for Skyfire to take. They seeming to be really well prepared. They managed to strat it out. They managed to figure out early on into the game, even probably prior to the game, really, what will be the general momentum from Ferox. And a few of those clutches that we did see them pull off, namely Sequence's clutch on the 2nd round, I definitely think it might have gotten into the heads of the opposing team.
I think it'll get into their heads if it gets to overtime and they're thinking, oh, that one round, maybe that could have made the difference. But I mean, Ferox had their chance. They got 2 rounds in a row coming back from that. Was tied up the half, so you know, if they were flooded after round 2, I would have thought they would have collected themselves from there. So I think they should be okay, but it's the scoreline that they're going to be looking at right now, particularly after that round, which Skyfire managed to clean up again in the second half of the round, where it was all very clean and just smooth moves from them. And now Ferox are looking at a pretty scary line. Remember, they've only seen now 1 round of Skyfire on defense, so they still don't even have the whole picture. So they may only have 2 rounds to work that one out. Remember, Skyfire could just be getting onto matching point next round, and that's where things start to get really dicey.
Yeah, this could be the big kind of moment of truth almost. Maybe your prediction as well, points-wise, could really come to fruition here with Skyfire potentially winning out, because if they do keep at it like this could be a huge stomp here by them, albeit that probably the main The main question is going to be what is going to happen on the second map, that is the clubhouse, which is the staple map of Ferox. So things could happen, but for now, for the time being, Villa so far is certainly looking like Skyfire are the ones to take it.
Yeah, it's feeling a lot like last week, where Skyfire were just smashing Bazaar on it. It's looking like it's going to be the same thing here with Ferox, but Cthulhu, we've got to give Ferox some time to see if they can pull it off. They're entering this round now with a half-health Sushi, and now actually getting sequenced down to the Clash, though, which we haven't really mentioned just yet here, is now starting to make some presence known and just essentially blocking an entire entryway. No one's going to be able to go that way. So, 1 kill already onto the defenders. Make that perhaps... No, maybe not 2, as Archie should be able to get back up from that one if they can stay safe. No! No, it's Todd. No one is safe from his nades.
Not at all. At the very least, Smacker was able to get some redemption, finding some shots, as well as Jigsaw finding the return onto Todd. Warden is down as well now with the C4, I would imagine. And now Mateus to finish off with the impact grenade. And all of a sudden, this momentum has been all turned around. Ferox had a solid beginning, but straight away, Skyfire were able to steal that away. All down to Shade and Sushi. Sushi might be able to find a few frags, but it's Shade to continue his rampage here, trying to find those frags, trying to find those openings. Because right now, the next contender is going to be Jigsaw, just about to flank around. R4C is just a little bit better here, and now it's all down to Mateus, the Clash player, the SPSMG wielder, and he just might be able to dish out quite some damage, but he might be a little bit too slow. Few angles being traded out. Mateus does find it, and it's a clutch between himself and Ferox.
Are you kidding me, Cthulhu? That should have been their round. Ferox, I mean, just a Clash player at the end. They had over a minute to work it out, but he just does a big swing, just basically 180 degrees almost, and gets them all in just one clean sweep. And now they're on match point. That one's got a sting. That's really making me think of round number 2. Maybe not quite as bad as a 1v4, but again, it just felt like a round that they could have had. But now they're facing down overtime at best.
Yeah, overtime is going to be the main thing that they would need to get through, but a 6-2 scoreline for a grand final, that is probably the last kind of thing that I would have expected, especially on map number 1. But it seems that Skyfire are just, they're ready. They want to get the dub, they want to get the grand final, they want to get those 3,000 Australian dollars for the first place, but maybe this map is going to be the very beginning for their crusade for that prize money.
And something I said last week when Skyfire was in their own semi-final was if peak Skyfire shows up, it can be hard to know who's going to be able to take them down at all. And to be honest, it feels like, just like Goku, they've gone even further beyond what they were last week. And now they're, I mean, it feels rough to say, but they're trashing Ferox right now. Rounds that should have been Ferox's rounds, almost 100% are being taken away from them, and not just once. Like, sure, that can happen in a series where you get a round thrown and then you say, all right, guys, can't let that happen again. But Skyfire are still stealing them away, and it always hurts when it's the one that puts you on match point as well.
Yeah, that's the most stinging part. The way how Skyfire as well are playing, especially on defense, is even more unpredictable. If you thought that if Ferox were the ones unpredictable on the defense, look at Skyfire. They are able to take some of those most ballsiest angles that we could have possibly seen and get them very swiftly, very easily. Sushi right now could potentially get a frag and maybe Shade as well, but Shade instead just gets a swing onto Archie, able to get the momentum. So, solid start here for the IQ player. Maybe, just maybe, we might be seeing a few rounds to be ran away here by Ferox, but I am very much doubting right now any chance of success for an overtime here. Yeah,
it's going to take a lot of work to come back, but it's a strong start for sure on this round, Cthulhu, but how many times have we said that and it hasn't been enough for Ferox? Skyfire have just been at the top of their game throughout tonight so far, and I can't imagine this round's going to be any different, but it's still a good start. So for anything that Ferox, for any of the rounds that they're likely to win, this is how they started off. I like it so far. Archie off the table's quite nice, but there are some scarier defenders that you got to deal with, and Warden is starting to face some of them down. Doesn't trade any damage back, but again, some more gunfights going down. That is some health lost now on more defenders. Warden on death's door. That's your thermite. You don't really want to rely on Todd, but here he comes. He manages to swing in and get his kill. This should be the round for Ferox here, as they've got now 2 down. They've got to be careful with those health bars, and they've got enough time to make it work. All the breaches are here, but they're the ones on low health. So they got to get up, give the wall a little bit of a kiss, and make sure there's no one hanging out underneath them or below them. But Deptra, he continues the rampage for Ferox right now. This is all but done and dusted for them to get one round back on the table.
Yeah, already with the diffuser now being planted, it's down to Smacker to try to clutch it out, but yet another flawless round to come through for Ferox, albeit they are going to be extending their stay here in Villa for just a little bit longer. They're still only 1 round away from taking an L here and not gaining themselves any kind of advantage in the best of 5 series, but alas for now, it's still a 6-3 scoreline, still 3 more rounds to roll here. And if they are able to shut down some momentum here, maybe if they are able to get into the heads of Skyfire, this is where they would be able to make that push and pull through. But for the time being, they need to take it on a round-to-round basis, and this is where they are going to be going next. It is Dining and Kitchen that will be picked here for themselves to attack, bringing in once again an Amaru, which is a very unconventional choice, but so far Sushi has been sticking with her for quite a fair bit of time.
Yeah, it's now what, the 3rd round in a row where he's picked it up, so certainly it's part of their strategy. But now that we're looking into it, I want to mention Cthulhu, that 2 out of the 3 rounds Ferox have picked up have been flawless rounds, so they are winning them. And winning them quite well, sometimes even when they're put in a tricky situation to get it done perfectly, like just before where they had both their hard breaches on almost no health. So they've got it in them. Some of these rounds are looking quite great for them actually. And so it's again, the question's coming up. Imagine if they managed to close out some of those other rounds. We could have been looking at like maybe a 5-3, oh sorry, a 5-4 instead of what we are right now with Skyfire on match point. But it's just going to take 1 more round for Skyfire to find a way to get back this one. But remember, Ferox, they did win a few in a row before, and they've done it in other series too. So they're certainly not out of the picture yet, but they're going to have more rounds like what we just saw, and maybe that's asking them to pull off some more almost flawless rounds.
Yeah, they definitely will need to pull up their pants and get to actually sweating there for themselves if they do want to find any openings for themselves, if they do want to find the more points for themselves rather, because yeah, so far they were able to be picked off 1 by 1 by Skyfire, and no return on the investment, no refrag potential there. But at the very least, Shade is able to actually track the pulse, so some damage has been dealt and forcing Mateus off that position.
Oh, and he even manages to find Deptra as well, opening up the floor, and now some of these positions are getting a little shaky here for Ferox. It's continuing though. It may be Shade to fall to a C4. It's traded back, but it's still Skyfire with the numbers. They've got to look after Todd, Mateus and Jigsaw on almost no health right now, but Ferox are dropping like flies. Mateus, he'll find the C4 as well. And now it's just up to Warden and Sushi. Sushi trying to make this Amaru work. That's 1 step of the plan. But step 2 is Warden's falling. And now he's looking at that 1v3. Doable, looking at the health bars for sure. But he's got to make sure he gets these swings right, because now his position's been compromised. They know where he is. He's got half the round to make this work. And Skyfire, they just need to not throw this one away. And they may be looking at Villa as a win.
Yeah, right now Sushi unable to really crawl through those opening holes, will be definitely forced to really change the direction as to where he's going. Might try to swing in. Yes, he will. Nope, just can't get the right angle there. At the very least, back into the hallway and maybe try to swing in harder. There it is, there's one. Can he find another one? Already got a double kill, 1v2 situation. 58 seconds to go as well, so he can still change his direction of where he's going right now, as both of the players of Skyfire are on site, so he could potentially get some vertical play on them as well.
Oh man, and look at how he's turning the corners to a lot of pre-fires going down. He's got a lot of ammo to burn, but making noise on the barbed wire. Maybe giving away his position, but that's another one. Can he pull it off? No! One step away from the 1v4, but Mateus, the Dream Slayer's there to finish it off and give Villa to Skyfire.
Fantastic work there by Skyfire, being able to put it into 7-3 scoreline against Ferox, the team that was initially able to 2-0 them and run away with some of the overtime, able to finally kick things off here in their favor. And well, already a 13 kill game here for Mateus as well. Out of all of those players, we did mention him, but not on such frequent basis.
Yeah, it does feel like he's the one to turn up tonight, but I mean, Skyfire, they've actually had quite a few moments. I mean, Sequence, remember, round number 2. Yeah, you look at the scoreline, maybe round 2, like one more round doesn't really matter, but it could have been a difference in mentality when we brought it up. But all said, Cthulhu, that was a very strong performance from Skyfire coming in. I mean, they just looked a whole league above their opponents at that time. You know, Ferox just not able to close out a lot of the rounds there. Skyfire just stepping up and ripping them away, kind of showing why they finished the round robin stage as the first seed, and made it here on a pretty big rip and tear through the semifinals too. These guys are a huge snowball rolling down a mountain, Cthulhu, and I wonder if it's going to continue here as we move to Clubhouse, which is Ferox's pick.
Yeah, Clubhouse is certainly going to be a very interesting map, and definitely will be deciding what the general momentum of the matchup will be, but we will have to see that after a short little break, as we are going to be prepping up map number 2.
An absolutely stunning performance coming out from Skyfire on Villa, kind of sending Ferox back to the Stone Age, Cthulhu. But as we move now onto Ferox's map pick, it's going to be Clubhouse. So is this where we see them turn it around? Because in my eyes, it feels like Skyfire can't be stopped.
Look, I reckon that this is going to be, if not the turnaround for Ferox, this is definitely going to be the decider as to which team will be seeing ourselves a grand performance and ability to really take potentially the grand final here for themselves. And if Skyfire are able to take Clubhouse in a similar manner here, similar to how they did in Villa, boy oh boy, I won't be envying here Ferox.
Yeah, and the thing I like about Clubhouse though is that I think draft is one of the more important parts for it compared to other maps, right? The operators you're banning out can have a drastic swing, you know? If there's no, you get rid of things like Thatcher and Maverick, then suddenly you have to work really hard to deal with things like the bandit tricks and all that nonsense. But you can leave it open, make it a little easier for you to deal with. But then, of course, you've got to deal with it when you're on the defense. So a lot of options up here, and the map can look very different depending on how these bans go. Mostly on the attacking bans for sure, but a little bit on the defenders too. So I'm keen to see if we're going to get a little creativity here, because for Ferox, I feel like that is what is needed. It is their map pick, so maybe they've got something up the sleeve here. The grand final would certainly be the time to bring it out.
Yeah, the attack bans are certainly going to be a huge decider of what will be the general kind of pace. If Maverick is able to get through and say Hibana to be banned out, or Thermite to be banned out, we will be definitely seeing some very interesting, maybe some unconventional angles to be opened up. Mainly, I would be curious about how would, say, the downstairs pushes will be executed by either one of the teams. Apart from that, yeah, like you said, defensive bans, they fairly set in stone. I mean, we will most definitely see a mirror ban. And between the two other anchor operators, say either Maestro or Echo, we're probably going to end up seeing Maestro being banned out, just because he was a little bit more used by Ferox comparative to Skyfire, and he was able to nearly bring down a few rounds into the favor of Ferox as well. So yeah, here it's definitely going to be more so already a very polished gameplay. It's rather which team will be making less mistakes.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at what happened on Villa, it feels like Skyfire is that team right now. But like we said, we're going to be moving on to the map pick for Ferox, which, like we said, could be the difference maker. It certainly feels like it needs to be at the stage because, especially, I mean, it even almost doesn't matter if it's a close match or a very one-sided match. If Skyfire win, then suddenly it's a 2-0. They put themselves on series point, and they've just taken away their opponent's map pick as well. So close or not, I feel like it doesn't matter. I feel like it's got to be Ferox to take out the win here. Otherwise, I'm not sure reverse sweep's really on the line for them right now. Maybe they're able to pull themselves together throughout the break and rise up to what Skyfire are pulling out right now. They just really feel unstoppable. And you know, as we're talking about this, guys, we'll update you right now is that we're just waiting for some of the players to make sure they're ready, and we'll be able to jump straight into Clubhouse, because trust me, I'm really keen to be jumping into this one, Cthulhu. But I mean, let's talk about the last time we saw a few of these teams here, because we got a few minutes here to kind of chew the fat on Clubhouse, right? Because we've talked about some of the sites, but these operator bans can be pretty crazy. But let's talk about how the teams have been playing, because Ferox have been trying to meet Skyfire's aggression a little bit. Can they do that on Clubhouse?
Yeah, look, I mean, Clubhouse firstly has not been picked by Ferox for a fair bit. At the very least, not in the past few weeks. We haven't seen that to be played out. The last time, at least one of the few last times, it was closer to week 5. So a few weeks have passed ever since, and maybe a few adjustments to the strats were made. But ultimately, yeah, it's still just about the same Clubhouse, I would imagine. Ferox might be a little bit more predictable on their own turf, but at the very same time, they might just be able to be a little bit more confident on some of the swings that we might see come out here. Looking at the bans as well, Maverick will be banned out, so no unusual kind of picks or bans will be done here. Thatcher is probably going to be the second offensive ban here, just to make things a little bit harder for the attack to really go here, especially when that attack is going to be Ferox.
Yeah, that's another thing to think about as well, is that they're now starting on the attack, so they kind of get the initiative, and yet there it is, Thatcher banned out. So it is going to be a little tricky for quite a few attacks, because of course, like we were mentioning, you got to work against the bandit that's very likely to show up on some of these sites. You know, CCTV probably the biggest offender for that one, and so that one is going to be something that Ferox will, you know, both sides will have to work and spend a fair amount of time dealing with. Sometimes teams get it done very quickly, and that can kind of snowball around, you know, to a pretty quick victory. But yeah, if they're able to buy a lot of time with that, you know, and then the hole in the garage, that's quite a lot of power that they can pull off. But like you mentioned, Mirror almost certainly banned away, of course, but it's going to be Kayed to get the chop on this one.
Yeah, Kayed ban is certainly a very interesting one, given it is Skyfire's ban as well. We do see a fairly frequent pick of Kayed on Clubhouse, just because he's always able to kind of either assist Bandit or at the very least allow some more remote breach denial on, say, sites like CCTV, like Gym and Church and Arsenal as well, with those hatches. So with him out of the play, it's all up to Bandit and Mute to deny some of the breaches. Mute, namely, will probably be more so just trying to deny some of the drones, but even then, he won't be present here in this matchup. And instead, looking at Skyfire's lineup, it is just going to be just the Bandit to try to deny the breach here.
Yeah, and so, of course, it's always a fun one to watch, so keep your eyes here on the Bandit player, how well he can stay alive. If we're going to see if Ferox kind of sneak around, get some of those cheeky little angles to force him away from the site. Very likely you've got double breaches coming in with the Thermite Havana now coming in too. So especially if you deal with the Bandit nice and early, then suddenly there's just so many walls you can open up, so many ways you can get inside. Particularly, you know, trapping out the Wamai usually hangs out over here. If you can come in from several different angles, it can be quite hard for him to deal with, and that can come down to having these double breaches like Deptra and Sushi bringing.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, the interesting thing as well, like, good thing that you mentioned that one, Smite, is that Ferox, even throughout their short run on the attack in Villa, they were bringing in a double breach, so in case one of their players goes down, one of their hard breaches, they still would have a second chance there. Whereas Skyfire were always rolling with the single hard breacher just to try to maybe kind of get the momentum, rather, get the swings going, and they were able to really make things work there for themselves. So I'm curious, how will Ferox really respond here? This is their home turf. This is where they should be able to win more rounds comparative to Villa. But if Skyfire plays the same way how they did on Villa, I think this will be a very quick, very prompt ending for the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like it is just Skyfire rolling away with it, but, you know, they've now got a moment to recollect themselves on Ferox, make sure that they're not just going to let particularly their map pick slip away. That could be really disastrous. The first few rounds could decide quite a lot. So, you know, let's get into it. Already a minute deep here, around number 1 here. And this one now about to open up, and this one is all thanks to Vodafone as Warden calls in the first kill of the game here against Smacker.
Solid beginning here, Bandit off the board, another C4 gone as well, but oh, straight away also goes the head of the player of Ferox, the Warden now gone. But meanwhile, off screen, 2 more players of SKF gone. That's Mateus and Archie, Smoke and the Wamai out of the game. All down to Jigsaw and Sequence, and both of them have some pretty hefty guns as well to try to repel that whole push. Jigsaw finds one. That's already a push by Todd. Already a quick swing as well from Sequence. Maybe tries to find in the second one, but Ferox are a little bit more relentless now. They're definitely not letting this round slip away, and well, that's the first round into their favor.
And that's basically how you wanted it to go. Yeah, you maybe lost a few players here and there, and you know, I sweated a little bit when I saw Sequence as the last member alive again, but they do close it out there. All things considered, a really clean opening. You know, getting the Bandit off the table super early just made it super easy for them to finish it off, get the rest of the doors open, all the different angles. Like even with those big fat guns that they had at the end, there wasn't really any way that they were going to be able to stop the fact they were just getting massively flanked. So massive open from Ferox, like really good, really solid. Now we've got to see if they can continue that going on. It's going to be a retry, so we get to see if, you know, perhaps this time Smack is going to be able to stay alive a little longer to just keep the breaches at bay, because that time that they buy can be just so valuable.
Being able to drain time and force Ferox into that kind of an attempt to run the kind of desperate momentum is certainly going to be a very good leverage for Skyfire to utilize here. The moment Ferox starting to be a little bit short on time, the moment they start getting desperate for some of those frags, this is where Skyfire are able to swing in, because out of these two teams, they are the ones who are the masters of the aggressive gameplay. Ferox are much more composed on a few occasions. They're the ones that are able to maybe take their time on a few things and then kind of methodically execute on site rather than go for some of the mad swings.
Attackers must locate and defuse.
So let's see if Skyfire can pull this one out again. They've of course got their second try here. CCTV certainly going to be exciting. I think if we get to a little more of the even numbers, and you know, they don't just kind of drop like flies about a minute in and suddenly sitting at a 2v4, then yes, Skyfire will have a lot more on the table. Ferox are pretty onto it as well, like checking for all these spawn peaks, making sure that they don't walk into a round as a 4v5. They know it feels like at least they need every single member to make these rounds work. So many times Skyfire have managed to pull it back over on Villa. Could be a different story here on Clubhouse, but it's good to see that Ferox aren't just giving away any freebies, at least for now.
Interestingly enough, Smacker wasn't really playing that up close and personal with the wall, and well, the fact that there was also the pressure from Shade from down below pretty much solidified that breach. But meanwhile, it's Jigsaw still holding very carefully and very tightly to the rafters, and with that will be assisting Mateus as well. Flashbang grenades will be catching those, will be caught by the magnet grenades, rather mines, and well, won't be really netting any push. Sequence as well, able to get rid of Warden, and now this is definitely not looking that pretty for Ferox, as all of a sudden their whole momentum has been completely thwarted there.
Mateus is still alive. He's still alive up there. He's quite pinned down, but maybe if he's a cheeky little boy, he can snag another kill here. The rest of his team is currently doing all that work. Finally, he does eventually go down, but he mostly did his job. Now it's on Deptra and Sushi to get this nice little clutch done. But as Deptra falls, it's all up to Sushi, and that tiny little hole is a perfect choke point for Skyfire to finish off that round.
And this time Skyfire were able to really recollect themselves, get the play, get the angles sorted, and isolate those gunfights. And same actually goes for Ferox. They went a little bit overzealous maybe on some of the pushes, died to those angles that were set up without kind of any ability to refrag by their teammates, and well, ultimately, that's where it resulted in their demise.
And shout out to Mateus in that round as well. He was drawing so much attention, so much utility, getting frags, and even surviving right down to the very last second where he did eventually get cleaned up. But it just gave his team so many good positions to finish off the round. So you usually see quite a lot of value from the Warmai over there, but now we go down to Church and Arsenal, so things might change up a little bit. The Kaid ban might now come into play a little more, as you're not going to be able to electrify the hatch at all, so they're going to have to rely on things like the impact trick to make sure breach doesn't go off. Remember that Ferox is still bringing that double breach, so they're going to have pretty much all the options to get in here, especially because of that Kaid ban.
Yeah, Kaid ban is certainly going to be felt here, maybe a little bit by Skyfire, unless they're going to go for some nuts kind of roam themselves, which I could actually see them try to pull that off. But apart from that, I'm curious, how will things go there? How will it work out? Because they were the ones to kind of go for some of the rather more unusual angles, less so of general setups, but it's kind of the micromanagement is where Skyfire is seeming to be really winning out here.
Yeah, they are definitely looking a lot cleaner if they can just hold the first half of the round. It definitely feels like if Skyfire get through that stage, then the second half just feels easy peasy, where they just don't seem to feel the pressure nearly as much. Not to mention the fact that, you know, being on defense, you kind of by default don't feel the pressure because you don't have the clock to worry about. But now it's going to be, I think, the difference maker here, because it's quite a different site as well compared to the rest of the ones you see on Clubhouse. So Ferox to pull out a win here could feel pretty great. Warden's already dropped down to half health, but does manage to swing back, finish off Jigsaw, make sure that roaming Jaeger is not going to be tailing them anymore. Now they can fight head on.
I believe that's partial control of the blue tunnel as well established there, albeit that Smacker is actually holding a very up-close angle, I believe, from the armory. So not the full congestion there, but at the very least, already play in numbers is certainly in favor here for a little bit for Ferox. Maybe an attempt to get the breach going, but a cheeky C4 could be pretty much curbing that very quickly, as there's plenty of information being relayed. C4 to fly out will be claiming Sushi, and that is a solid beginning here, as that is the Hibana gone. I believe that still has one more charge of the Brimstone, but so far it's a trade. It's a back and forth swing. Deptra does find the shot onto Smacker. There's still a very aggressive Mateus with the SNG-11 ready to blast things into the oblivion, and well, right now, in a 2v3 situation, anything could really happen.
Yeah, don't count these guys out. Dodging the flashbang too, so we'll keep his vision. A nice aggressive little push. Doesn't get rewarded for it just yet. Drops a few points, but keeps his life, but maybe not for long at all. And then, very quickly, just as much as it started, it's going to be Warden to finish it off for the round and get Ferox up to 2.
There we go. Ferox able to really now make this into a bit more of a competitive map for themselves. Villa was definitely one of those maps that probably they semi gave up on maybe halfway down the line when they saw that 4-2 or maybe rather 5-2 scoreline. And well, yeah, now it's their time for redemption. This is where they need to really start working things out for themselves and see if they can maybe claim map number 2 for themselves, so that way they can actually stay in the grand final and maybe have another chance at getting back at the Skyfire roster.
All right, it's going to be a retry, and it will be the Echo to come in right now. That's a fair amount of plant denial coming in from both the Maestro and the Echo, kind of depending on where Maestro throws that Evil Eye. But, you know, they have the potential to stop any plants. But my question here, Cthulhu, is that we haven't really seen plant being the issue, I mean, at all really on Clubhouse, and it was barely a thing on Villa either. Both of these teams have been incredibly bloodthirsty right now, so it's kind of interesting to see that they're bringing this one in. But I mean, both those operators do bring a fair amount of firepower themselves with some pretty hefty guns.
Yeah, the beauty of Echo as well is that you can really play his drones really in a really flexible manner and allow your fraggers to really get some quality shots there. Some of those highlights that the people and the viewers can be seeing could be also enabled by Echo and making the roamer's life a whole lot easier. So yeah, things can definitely be made much more exciting there for the defense, but unless Smacker plays, I think he did actually.
Yeah, he just went for a random little swing through the door as he dropped down. A Gold Warden. I mean, it's probably not going to change too much, but kind of fun, kind of cheeky to watch as well. But shouldn't change too much here as we get here into round number 4. Cthulhu can Skyfire round this one up. Sushi trying to make his presence known on the stairs, but is going to very quickly just move away from that and go for the breach instead.
Yeah. Nothing too flashy, nothing too cheeky. Quick breach to at the very least get some pressure into Memorial Room to be done here. Ferox were able to utilize that room very efficiently and able to swing in a few engagements into their favor. So wouldn't be surprised if we will be seeing an attempt number 2 to come out from there. A flashbang to be used to maybe drain out a few ADSs, but I don't think there are any actually there. So maybe might be seeing just Skyfire just trying to play a little bit more of the aggressive set of angles.
A lot of tagging up going on right now. Sequence is already very close to dying. Todd and Ward now have been hit a bit as well. Oh man, look at Sequence there. He's holding the tunnel on his own, and he still has no fear despite his health bar. So this could be the point of weakness Ferox are kind of looking for. You can see they're starting to drone it up now, so they're definitely keen to start looking at it. They know that he's still there. That means they know that someone on very low health is still there, and they could be making the push any moment right now. But they've spent a lot of time setting this up, so it's got to start to work right now. They're moving him, but Todd had almost no health too, and they rip him apart. They traded back on the Sequence, but they were expecting that kill. Now it's a 4v4 with less than a minute to go.
And with no more frag grenades as well from Todd, things are certainly going to be harder to push out a few of the defenders from their anchor position. So things are certainly going to be ramping up here. Deptra trying to find some close angles. He has the ability to that. He has the gun and this sight as well for that very thing. So right now for Ferox, they definitely need to start going in for the push. They need to apply pressure from multiple places and not allow this to be isolated into multiple 1v1s, which Skyfire definitely exceed at. The drop down needs to happen here. Shade needs to go in for the swing because right now his teammate's life pretty much depending on that very thing.
Man, they're getting the plant down. Deptra gets Smacker, and it just continues actually. Ferox should be looking to clean this one up. It's just Archie, and well, actually, Archie's now on the ground. Just a Jigsaw to go, and he's got a very tough situation on his hands for sure. Can he pull off the clutch here? He may be able to find one here, but that ticking time bomb just puts too much pressure on him, and with that, Ferox clean up and get another round on Clubhouse.
Ferox able to really shut things down. The moment they heard even a slight sound clue there from Jigsaw, were able to narrow down on him and pretty much shut him down as easy as it can get. 3-1 scoreline in their favor, and this is certainly looking like maybe Ferox might just be able to run away with map number 2 for themselves.
Yeah, but remember we did see a pretty strong start coming out from Skyfire. Obviously they continued it on Villa to really smash out the rest of the map here, but wasn't without Ferox pulling a few rounds back, but it certainly does feel like they've cleaned up their act a little bit, got themselves together over the break, and now that they're on their map pick as well, it is being cleaned up here. These matches are certainly not like, you know, flawless rounds or anything, but a lot of them do feel solidly in the hands of Ferox when they get the strong opening. They find it a good frag. I mean, getting Sequence down nice and low, that was so valuable.
Oh yeah. Getting Sequence out and kind of getting that upper hand in a few gunfights and not allowing him to gain that double kill certainly allowed Ferox to gain another avenue at applying pressure onto Skyfire, and this is exactly what helped them to make that push, get the plant down and have another covering angle for the planter. So here on CCTV, maybe a similar case could be applied for Ferox. Maybe if they could open just another place to push, that to apply pressure from, and to maybe force a few of the Skyfire members as well to be a little bit more hasty on some of the rotations. This is where they could really play off that aggressive momentum that Skyfire usually tend to bring.
Okay, Mateus actually either changing his positioning like quite a lot from the previous times on the site, or getting there quite late. But looks like he should be able to make it to wherever he's going to be heading off to. For now, remember Mateus bringing a lot of value in the one round that Skyfire did pick up there. And that one was quite solidly in their hands as well. It was a team effort too, as Mateus was really more buying time, draining utility last time, while the rest of his team cleaned up. But we're starting to get these entries now coming in Cthulhu. We're going to get Ferox on inside, and this is where the pain point was last time we were on the site. They can get this entry and clean up whoever's inside. Should be good, but it looks like a slightly different approach here.
Yeah, sure seems like it. CCTV has been actually fully abandoned here, what is quite interesting, by Skyfire. So Ferox here, well, they won't be getting any kind of resistance here on the attempt at breach. A whole lot of pressure is actually being put onto the catwalks as well. A frag grenade to fly in, but won't be connecting to Mateus. Well, only just barely, but there we go. 4 guns aimed at the catwalk, plus a grenade should surely be able to get rid of the player there. And well, that's full control of the garage. But now comes the question as to how will they manage that control?
Yeah, of course, these stairs are still quite a pain point as well. As you can see, dropping a few bullets to the body. There's another breach now going down. So once more, Cthulhu, we have all the doors now open for Ferox. They've got all but full health on all their members. Through the wall, though, Sequence drops a bit of health, but so does Shade. No one will be falling with it now, but look at the health bars and look at the kills coming out for Ferox right now. Skyfire are just barely alive right now. It's just Jigsaw sitting on that full hit point bar. He's really going to have to look after his teammates here, but they are swinging back, but they cannot afford to be making trades.
Not at all. A C4 to be flown in. Won't be able to claim Sushi's life. At the very least, they will be able to get rid of Shade, though, who just decided to shift W right onto that opening. And, well, already another swing by Jigsaw, but without any kind of punishment. Without any repercussions, really. Deptra, fantastic swing. Deptra with a double, though, will be able to close out for Ferox. Their round number 5, and, well, that's already a 4-1 scoreline.
Really clean, just quick snaps, good reaction time, just to finish off that one. It felt pretty solidly in the hands of Ferox by that point, but it's nice to see that we can continue to count on Ferox to hold on to these rounds now, as they just start roaring away with the rounds right now. 4-1 already. They're primed to have a very good half. If we continue to run by the script, it looks like they may be able to pick up yet another one. A 5-1 half would really send a pretty massive statement, but let's wait and see for one more time. We're going to hit up the gym and bedroom sites here. Now, you mentioned that this site has been picked quite a lot compared to the others here on Clubhouse.
Gym is actually probably one of the rather rare sites that has been picked. Matter of fact, for this very matchup, this is the first time we are going to be seeing it to be brought on board. I'm rather more curious as to what will happen on Oregon, because on Oregon, though, last time we saw those teams play out, Kids Bedroom was the one that was the most picked site. So this is going to be a very interesting one, and I'm pretty sure we are going to get to that Oregon map as well. But for the time being, Gym Bedroom is one of those kind of almost throwaway sites for a fair few teams, but Skyfire were able to show us on a grand amount of occasions that they are able to defend it pretty well. Their playstyle definitely matches the kind of the sporadic almost movement and positioning that some of the players can have on this very side. So I am curious how will they be able to really perform here and whether it will really work out, because general setup is certainly looking quite nice, albeit no castle barricades on the gym window or the door will certainly make Bandit's life almost feel like a nightmare.
Absolutely. And speaking of nightmares, I mean, at least solo queue ones anyway, Todd now going to be running the Amaru. So Ferox are still pretty keen to bring this operator along to the table. Now very quickly inside as well. Really wanting to just make his presence known pretty quickly. Just going to jump up. What can he find? Do they hear him? No, he's been shot and found. And, well, Amaru pick not going to work this round.
Recovered the bomb diffuser.
An attempt was made there by Todd, but unfortunately it wasn't well droned. There was no retreat point for himself, so it was a little bit of a throwaway life there, and straight away putting it into a 4v5. And I'm going to be giving Ferox a whole lot of free time. Same goes for that peak as well. Sequence, absolutely phenomenal shot onto the head of the Shade. Will be ensuring that the advantage is going to be strongly now in favor of Skyfire.
Yeah, going to be pretty rough to pull this one back. I mean, you've only really done a bit of damage to Sequence, who's going to be holding this point as well. Maybe waited a little too long on that shot, though, so he will be taken apart there. So that's one kill back to the favor of Ferox. They got half the round to try and find a way to win with one man and down, but like I was mentioning, that firepower quite limited here. You're going to be relying a lot on Warden to do a lot of the job here, as they are continuing to look down the angles, waiting for Skyfire to make the push.
And push they will. There is a peek out by Mateus, and potential swing by Sushi could be coming around, but there is a crossfire. Fantastic one as well. It's Jigsaw to find the shot, and right now Ferox are definitely left kind of almost questioning as to what next, what can be done here, given that no impact grenades from Warden, so no kind of sub-breach to be done. All down to Archie, does find a very nice shot onto Mateus, but ultimately there it's Skyfire to win out the round number 6, and at the very least it will not be a 5-1 scoreline.
Yeah, certainly an interesting approach to that round for sure from Ferox, but I mean, hey, Skyfire are happy to shut that sort of activity down, make sure that no shenanigans are going to be pulled off. Like you were mentioning, that the Todd push with Amaru was just really quite, we used the word courageous there, as there wasn't a lot of ways for him to get out of trouble if he did get into it, and get into trouble he certainly did. But now we're going to flip-flop, turn things around here, send the teams to the opposite sides here. Ferox, really good half of the round there on attack. They pull off some pretty sweet rounds for sure, and even the one that they, the last one that they dropped felt a bit weird, it felt a bit throwaway. I don't think it's really going to pop up again. But Skyfire, now they get a chance to show themselves off on attack here. They certainly seem to be a team that likes to be on the attack here, likes to be the one dictating the pace of the round. And Clubhouse is certainly one where a team that likes to do that can be sort of stopped in their tracks if they are trying to deal with certain breaches here. Church and Arsenal, without Kaya though, it could be a little easier to get through.
Yeah, Kaya definitely makes defending this very side a whole lot easier. I'm liking, though, what Ferox are bringing in there. Definitely emphasizing a little bit more on some flexible info gathering. Some maybe a bit more passive info gathering, as Echo is nowhere to be seen. I am, though, interested about the decision of Todd on bringing in the alibi fairly consistently as well, given that he was bringing that very operator throughout most of Villa as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ferox are pretty happy to bring it. I mean, Todd specifically, like you mentioned, is really having a pretty fun time. We've seen a few times where Skyfire have been caught out by the Prisma, but most of the time it's not really too much of a big deal here. It can maybe throw a bit of confusion in here if they're sitting at a peak window for sure, but Skyfire, I think, are going to be fairly onto it by now. They let a few rounds on Villa slip by on the peaks, but we haven't really seen anything like that since the first few rounds of Villa, so I don't think it's going to continue. But now let's get it, now a minute deep into round number 7 here. We've already got some downstairs presence here. Sequence will not find anyone down the hallway, but now, well, Ferox know that he's there.
sure will be. Plentiful amount of knowledge has been gained by Skyfire as well, trying to just find a few poke points. Mateus trying to maybe assist his teammates to really go in for the push. It's Sequence actually on the Zofia now at this point already, well known for his very aggressive pushes. Trying to go in for the swing, could find maybe a shot or two, but right now he's just doing the coverage for his teammates to go in for the breach, as Archie's actually going to be going in for yet another one. Given that, well, it's only Sushi to try to hold the angle and hold the fort here.
Yeah, I believe Deptra was waiting in the wings with a C4. Maybe you can find the denial on a plant, but Ferox, for the most part, are going to be waiting here and are ready. Will we see the breach go through? Yeah, it looks like Archie's been pushed back, but Deptra will actually clean up Mateus, so that Nomad now off the table. Skyfire facing down the 4v5. That breach, it looks like it's going to go off. Sequence has evened it up by getting Deptra out of the table. Now, a minute to go to make the 4v4 happen. Skyfire primed to get another round, and it's going to continue. A trade comes out as Sushi is making the push, making the rampage, but he's been punished for it. Look at his health bar. So now the patience comes in.
No.
Now he waits. Is it going to be enough though? His teammates dying around him, as now it's just Todd left to go. The grenade god himself, but will not find a kill of that, and now has to run away. One kill. Does he get the diffuser? Yes, he does. Sequence is his last victim to go right now, and now 30 seconds for Sequence to find Todd, find the frag. He will not get time to get that diffuser. Todd, gonna be patient. They're gonna be camping. He's got his tent set up right now, and Sequence has to be the one to make the push. And he's gonna have to go and make it happen now. 12 seconds, Cthulhu. I don't think you can find him in time right now. He's gonna try and bait it out right now, but here comes Todd. Here comes Todd to try and deny it. He needs to get this one done, and he does. It was close with the ADS, but just not close enough.
Sequence had a really good idea as well to try to bait in at the last few moments. He knew that the push is going to be happening, but he had a few more seconds to go in for the swing. Nearly had it, but Todd was just a little bit more prepared there. Well, there we go. It's a 5-2 scoreline now, seeming to be a complete reverse sweep here of what happened on Villa, as now it is a 3-round advantage here for Ferox rather than Skyfire.
And of course, that round, the 6th round you can pick up just puts you in such a strong position, especially when you are this many points ahead. If Ferox can pick up this round, then we could really just be looking at, flip-flop of the result from Villa, where Ferox just take a huge lead and it's just kind of impossible for Skyfire to come back. So Skyfire may have shown up to play here today, and I feel like they still are, but it feels like now we've got Ferox rising up to the challenge. Now we've got them getting that Zenkai boost and powering up to take on Skyfire. And they're certainly bringing it to them here on Clubhouse right now. So many rounds have been quite clean here, but even the ones that come down to the wire, the Ferox still hold true and manage to clean them up.
Ferox were able to really clean out a fair few of these rounds. We finally saw some really good clutching from Todd. I believe Deptra as well was able to really help out the teammates on a few occasions. So here, this is definitely now a much better performance from Ferox comparative to what we seen before. So possibly Ferox has finally kind of warmed up, has finally got activated, and maybe further down the line we will be seeing them kind of completely stomp out their opposition. For the time being, though, they just need to close out this round to make the points, the map points even, and then go into their opponent's map pick, that is Oregon, with a little bit more momentum for themselves.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was saying before, is that Ferox couldn't really afford to lose their map pick here, so I think it just means a lot for them to come back and win it so hard. But they do have to close it out, so we will hold our breath here as we get moving on to round number 8, and it looks like a breach should go off without too much of a problem here. Or actually, Deptra, is he going to be able to? No, he's not going to risk it. He's going to head back, and the breach will connect.
Fairly prompt retreat by Deptra. No health has been lost on throughout that utility usage, so at the very least in the early stages, Ferox are able to keep things fairly stable. I'm fairly confused why is the construction wall not open, not reinforced, but that doesn't matter for now. It's Shade who's trying to get an angle and could potentially have his back exposed here.
A bomb has been
Yeah, that is quite a ballsy position to be holding. He's got Sushi kind of watching his back, though, through the breach hole, while simultaneously dealing with the push that's going to be coming through it. So actually quite a big brain there by Ferox to hold all these different angles and allow Shade to move in, but it is Deptra to be the next one, the first one to fall. That bandit now out of here, door wide open, and now in comes Skyfire, but they walk into Warden's line of sight. He may be punished for it, but he already did his job. 3v3 here, Cthulhu. Shade has been holding this position all game so far. We'll look to continue to do it. It may be quite difficult for Skyfire to make this final push here through, but they've been fantastic on swings before. But look at this swing here as Todd turns around the corner into the demise of Sequence. It's a trade though, as he has backup, but 58 seconds now. This is doable for Skyfire to get this final push. Shade now linking up with Sushi here, both together. Now just Mateus and Jigsaw in their way. Drones coming out, position now revealed. One magnet left, but he does not have a second to use it right now. Has to hold down the angle, and as Mateus to fall, they block off the entry, and now just up to Jigsaw. He needs to get the 1v2 clutch, but all the different angles, all through the wall, on the low health, should be his demise here. Sushi also on death's door. The pistols are now coming out, and it's ring around the rosy, but Ferox and Shade will finish it off.
Oh man, that was definitely a bit of a tumble around there by both of the players. Shade, yeah, might be feeling a little bit like his heart would be racing after this one, as multiple shots have been whiffed there. Let's just say that. But that still allowed Ferox to grant themselves that match point and already a 6-2 scoreline.
Yeah, and you know, arguably, well, not even arguably, just so far a better result. Unless we get a Skyfire any more rounds, this is just a stronger performance from Ferox. It's certainly showing up hard on their map pick right now. Remember, they had that kind of, I don't want to call it a throwaway round, but it did feel like the other. So this could have even been a little more one-sided, even if they, I don't want to say trying things, but doing something different. But that's all in the past here, Cthulhu, because now the reality is Ferox on match point. It's just been looking really consistently in their favor so far. If it's only just slightly ahead in some of these rounds by a person or two. But I love the way they're matching Skyfire's aggression. Even when they're on the defense, they know that they can make these pushes, turn the corners, and meet Skyfire before they even make their own push.
Yeah, this is the play here for Ferox. Just shut down Skyfire right as they're initiating their swing, just as they're initiating kind of their aggression there. And the moment they're able to figure it out, the moment they're able to make it very stable, this is where they're going to be able to catch even more wins for the rounds. This is where they're going to be able to swing the momentum in their favor and able to run away with a dub. But it's still a very long time story here between these two teams. They only on the second map, and they still need to win 2 more. That is, if Ferox wins here, we're still going to be looking for, at the very least, another 2 more maps.
Certainly a statement to be made, though, especially if they can just win it here, 7-2. So even drawing up the series might be nice, but you keep the momentum in your favor now. If they can pull out the win. So once more, we're going to be sitting here just waiting for the breach here. Nothing too dangerous going on, but we do have a few murder holes around where we may just get a freebie kill somewhere, but no one found anyone yet. Just for now, Jigsaw's already made his way up onto the catwalk. A lot of good presence here, but he's cautious and making sure no one's going to be sneaking up on him right now. There's Deptra, of course. He loves these murder holes for sure. Doing them a lot on Villa too. Still waiting just patiently to see if he can find a free kill, but so far, just a minute into the round, Cthulhu, we have not got any kills just yet, free or not.
Indeed. Well, breach is already starting to be made. Fair bit of pressure. I'm surprised that the default camera has not been shot out at all by Skyfire, and that is going to be a grave mistake there. They won't deal with it anytime soon. Shade potentially could be going for a run out with the C4, but I believe got spotted by the drone. So at the very least, for now, Ferox, going in. That was a grand bait. Mateus able to punish Deptra. Now in a 3v5. Does definitely look like Ferox might just be able to run away. Skyfire might just be able to run away with the win here.
Yeah, some pretty characteristic for sure plays by Ferox there to meet the aggression like we've been saying, but this time Skyfire were ready for it. They're also ready for Shade as he's the next one to fall. Just Sushi, just Warden. We've seen them here in this position before, but very quickly and very efficiently, Skyfire eliminate them and move on, still staying alive here on Clubhouse.
Sure will. They will be granting themselves yet another chance to really bring in the heat here for Skyfire. Sorry, rather Ferox. Tumbling a little bit on the words, but nonetheless, 6-3. Still 3 more rounds for Skyfire to play out if they do want to push it into overtime, which is not an impossible thing to pull off here. It's going to be a difficult one, yes, but certainly I can see Skyfire really pull off a clutch and make a comeback here against Ferox. And Ferox, matter of fact, in their previous few games, they have been pushing it to overtime. They were losing out on a fair few rounds in their game against Exto. Their Cafe game was an 8-6 scoreline, and that is definitely a bit of a odd sign, definitely an alarming sign if you are a Ferox fan, which could be meaning that maybe a few of their defenses, maybe a few of their approaches are a bit too much predictable.
But hey, at least it means they've got a little bit of recent experience here in overtime, which I feel like could be coming up here, but later in the series. But Skyfire, like you said, they need to pull 3 rounds in a row here. I'm not sure that that's going to happen. Ferox have been at least, 1 or 2 men ahead throughout each of these rounds so far. I mean, they haven't really been relying too much on clutches at all. They've kept the lead throughout most of the rounds, so it does feel like Skyfire need to be the ones to get a good opening or try to bait Ferox out into some of these questionable plays, like the one we saw before where we had a run out here, Skyfire just had the trap ready. We've seen them happy to snap up some of those rounds, but it feels like those are the only rounds that they're kind of picking up here against Ferox, at least on Clubhouse.
At the moment, Skyfire are able to get a few good knowledge positions, good peaks, and swing the momentum early. This is where they are able to find the success. I like the fact that there's already the droned out position there for Deptra, and oh, there's the cutoff as well. Fantastic coordination between the Skyfire players to be able to shut down the early roam.
Yeah, just heavily punished for not letting that drone just, stick around there, completely keep the vision there. They even apparently saw his legs sticking out of the bar, so letting their opponents know, classical Skyfire fashion as well. So huge value from that. Now they just got to clean up the rest of the round. A huge, strong opening. This is the kind of challenge that I'm talking about for Ferox, is that sure they can win rounds when they get a strong opening, but here's where the challenge comes in. Can they pull off a 4v5? Can they get the clutch? There's still plenty of time. And now they're starting to even it up again. Tae's now gone, so certainly doable for Ferox, but it has to happen.
Has to happen indeed. Well, what's also happening is Warden finding that shot and making the man advantage now much more favorable for Ferox. 4v3, still workable, but with Archie, Jigsaw, and Smacker being the last men remaining, things might be looking a little bit rough there. Sequence already gone, the big clutch master of Skyfire today. Won't be seeing any play for this round anymore. Nate is gone as well. Still a good set of kind of bare bones utility that should allow Skyfire to make the entry on site.
Yeah, we've seen Ferox though with some pretty excellent holds down here. Making these breaches a little hard to use effectively for Skyfire. They are camping some angles pretty hard, almost baiting Ferox in, and well, Smacker will get one from downtown, and now we're evening it up a bit. Jigsaw takes a bit of punishment, but he'll be all right for now. But that clock is now starting to tick on down. The impact, is going right over the wall. Sushi with his big old TSG gonna be smashing through the breach to get Smacker out of here. Now just Jigsaw, just Archie to find this man and his big gun and his 2 teammates. Can they finish it off? A good hold there by Archie, but he's a little too slow on the trigger to secure that kill there. But it continues now. Sushi gets yet another one right now, and just with Shade along with them to clean it on up. And Ferox, they pick up Clubhouse.
Nicely done by Ferox, managing to pull it off in a similar fashion how Villa turned out. 7-3, yeah, like you said. Great ending to their map pick, but now they are going to be going back to Skyfire's map pick, which is, I believe, Oregon. And on Oregon is where they had last time the grand clash, which did result in Ferox running away with a 8-7 scoreline in the overtime. So this is where I believe the big set of trades will be coming around. This is where kind of the juiciest part of Siege will be is going to get showcased. I'm slightly waffling on the words there, but yeah, now both teams are very much warmed up. This is the main kind of idea for map number 3.
That's right. We've got both teams warmed up, a win under their belt, and 2 solid wins. In fact, 1 for each team. But we're going to have to wait till after the break to get over to Oregon Cthulhu, which is going to be Skyfire's pick to see if they can pick up the lead here in the grand finals. Kia ora and welcome back to the grand final here. LPL Pro Rainbow Six Siege. It's Ferox versus
Skyfire.
Oh man, yeah, Ferox versus Skyfire. Man, what a mind blank! What a mind blank there, Cthulhu. But it's only because Ferox had such a good round there on Clubhouse that they just pushed Skyfire out of my mind here. But we got to remember, it's now Skyfire's map pick as we jump onto Oregon. And last time we saw these two teams fight here, it was an absolute bloodbath, back and forth rounds, and it all the way went to overtime. So I'm keen to see an overtime again here, Cthulhu.
Yeah, I definitely am not excluding the fact that this is going to be an overtime game. Oregon has been a bit of a shaky one for Ferox, but for Skyfire, they are definitely looking to close this one out in their favor. And looking so far, they were prepping it up pretty well. And quite frankly, their previous performances as of recently on Oregon has been absolutely nuts.
Yeah, but the one thing I want to bring up here, Cthulhu, is both of these maps, you know, when we go to the team's map pick, it's just been very one-sided. Villa, very much in control of Skyfire. Clubhouse, very much in control of Ferox. So now that we're back to Skyfire's pick, is we still going to see the same story, or are we going to get that overtime? You know, is this the difference in the map going to be enough to get us to that point?
I don't think the overtime is straight away something that we are to expect, but I genuinely think that we are going to be seeing a much more competitive scoreline here, even whilst it's being on Skyfire's turf. Because previously, I mean, we know for a fact that Ferox take their time to really warm up, to really get used to the momentum. And Villa was just that very thing. And they allowed that to happen because they still have a map buffer. So they weren't, I would imagine, weren't too really phased about the loss there on map number 1, and maybe just use it to kind of just get ready rather for the main meal, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, well, the thing is now both teams do not, they no longer have the excuse of, oh, we're just warming up. They got to get in here and get these wins. And I think Skyfire here, it's a little more on them to pick up the win here, because now the ball's certainly in Ferox's court. They've rolled it down the hill. They've got a really good set of momentum going. The break will certainly be a good time for Skyfire to, just kind of like Ferox did in the first break, pull themselves together, make sure they don't let these rounds slip out of their hands. I think, though, the big difference here, at least from Clubhouse, was that it was less of Skyfire letting Ferox win and more Ferox just rising up to the challenge and just suddenly looking more powerful than their opponents. Kind of different to how Skyfire won Villa, where there were a few rounds that just felt like Ferox kind of let them slip away. Didn't feel like the case on Clubhouse. Let's see if it's going to be the case here in Oregon.
Yeah, curious how will this really play out, because a few ways can be really played out on Oregon. You can play a very, very aggressive kind of meta, very aggressive play, which I would imagine Skyfire would be the one to really bring it in. But the fact that Maverick and Thatcher are banned out will definitely shape the defensive rounds quite substantially, given that usually we will be seeing Maverick to stay around, being able to really get his breaches in, and usually he would be used to get control over the attic, because a whole lot of teams, no matter what is the general kind of meta, usually would end up going for the main entry into into the building via the big tower and then gain control of the attic. And unless you're pushing the bottom floor, this is where you can really start making the moves, because this is where pretty much most of the map opens up for you. So here, against Ferox, Skyfire would definitely need to make sure that they are playing their cards right, especially with those Kali Lances, because they are much easier to time with the bandit tricking as well. So potentially we could be seeing some success here from Ferox to deny the breaches, but that's all going to be down to how Smacka and Archer would be able to really coordinate themselves.
Yeah, another thing as well is like once the breach is done in Big Tower, it becomes down on the hallway hold as well. You quite often see the Goyo just hold the line down there, or at least someone with the Vulcan shield. It looks like it's going to be Warden this time to be able to hold it down. C4, like super valuable down that tunnel too, if you're able to time it right. So this area right here, Shade and Warden, they can buy a ton of time for their team. And that is a real fun little Vulcan shield spot too.
That is an interesting, Vulcan Shield, I gotta say, because it'll be serving two different purposes. One, to either drain out some of the utility from the attackers, just to make sure that they maybe destroy it with their breaching utility rather, and then two, to open up a rotation hole for the defenders. So that piqued my interest, but curious how will it rather be played out here.
Well, one way to find out here is we're starting to get inside already. It's going to be the breach attempts here going on. Got Mateus just hanging around on the other side, making sure that no one's going to be pulling off any shenanigans, going for any kind of runouts while they're busy. But Jigsaw has been taken apart, but he gives it back as hard as he got it, because Deptra's now gone too. Sushi's taken a bunch of damage, so Ferox are bleeding as well.
Oh yeah, they sure are. But at the very least, they were able to shut down, or at the very least slow down, rather, the push that could be happening from the walk-in closet. And with that as well, the breach is going to be done. So now Ferox are going to be put on a little bit of a back foot, but they still have those Vulcan shields to really fall back on, to really try to explode and get rid of him. Oh, there's such a nice angle for Warden as well, but his position has been drawn down. And, well, there's a lance that will be eaten up, actually, I believe, by the ADS, and well, that's finally the Vulcan shield exploded.
Yeah, so a lot of time, a lot of utility, but it looks like they're going to have something to play with once these flames now run out. Warden's sticking around, trying to get these peaks, these pre-fires, but no cigar. He'll have to fall back. Smacker, though, has taken out Todd, which is now putting a pretty good position here for Skyfire to clean this one up here, but so much time was drained down. They've got 50 seconds, so this final push is going to have to be clean, but we know once we get to this stage of the game, Skyfire are smooth as butter as they make these swings here. Remember, they're very aggressive. We've seen Ferox make the pushes to meet them, but it looks like for now, Warden's going to be hanging back, but his team falling around him as Archie will take out Sushi. One more kill. Warden trying to get some vengeance. He does eventually land the shots, but he's taken so much damage in return, and he cannot afford that right now in this position. 20 seconds, though, for Skyfire. If they're careful enough, they're cautious enough, Warden and Shade may be able to pull out a clutch here, but the push has got to start now from Skyfire, lest they run out of time. Because now it's about to happen right now. These lines are being held. Shade will get the kill on the Smacker, and just 2 left. 4 seconds to go, and it's going to be Mateus dropping too. Sequence, the only one that remains, and the time has run out. Cthulhu, Ferox opening up round number 1.
My goodness, Ferox are clinical about their hold down. Even with the man disadvantage, they were able to turn things around, to lock down the crossfire. And a massive props as well to Warden to be able to land that fantastic headshot just right on what I believe was Thermite as they were trying to get in the peaks. Oh, that was clean.
Yeah, and you know, you heard me praise Skyfire's final push as well. It looks like Ferox are just ready to meet them and just completely shut them down in their tracks. A really good hold through the tunnel. Warden certainly bringing out a ton of value, not just through the time that he bought with his Vulcan shields, but like you mentioned, those headshots, those snaps, and just really able to bring it back for his team. So I'm real keen to see how the rest of this Oregon's going to go. Remember, we're kind of expecting this one to be a bit closer than some of the other maps, but for now, after that round, I definitely feel like Ferox are looking, well, not just the first half, the second half of the rounds too.
Yeah, Ferox are definitely much more warmed up now. They know definitely how things are working here for themselves. They're definitely able to read into some of the momentum and able to shut it down fairly early. Utility-wise as well, they're able to really bring it to Skyfire. And it seems that Skyfire is slightly not lacking on the response. It's rather it's mistimed now.
Yeah, it does like that, just a little bit. However, now we are heading downstairs, and this is always a fun little hold here. The blue tunnel can really make or break a defense here. So much does kind of rely on the Bandit keeping the walls electrified. Kali certainly just makes that a real problem. Warden, though, is going on a bit of an adventure here, but he will be droned out and will very quickly rescind that adventure as he just heads right down to the site.
At the very least, he was able to deny one of the drones and force Smacker to take it just a tad bit slower on those back stairs. Surely Smacker will have a really nice angle to really keep things covered, but there's going to be no presence of Ferox really on that position, and well, it's actually going to be a very much of a total hold actually from them in this site, which is unusual to say at the very least, especially in the current meta. You would want to be at the very least expanded onto the bottom of the large tower stairs, but it seems it's quite the opposite here.
Another drone going to be spotting out Warden, but look at how far he's pushing up, looking at the doors, looking at the stairs. He knows Smack has been hanging around over there, waiting for the peek, but he gets distracted. Is it going to be enough though? It wasn't. His Warden gets back on target and rips Smacker apart.
A great peek as well. Warden able to fall back to a bit more of a safer angle now for himself, and as well in correlation with the fact that his teammate was able to deny the breach, or rather had the ability to drain a little bit one time, but Todd will be able to make things work now, even though it was Archie to find the frag.
Yeah, this is looking a bit more dicey for Skyfire. Not a lot of health and not a lot of members to play with right now. Even Archie himself, oh, hang on though, because now we've lost Sushi as well. It looks like the win might be back on the menu here for the Skyfire boys. They're just trying to find anything here. Todd is looking for anything he can, but Shade says this is how you do it, and just blows Sequence to smithereens. Now 3v2, Archie on almost no health. The Vulcan shields are falling though. This should be the push coming out from Skyfire. 45 seconds, so they don't have to panic, but it's very scary right now. Not a lot of health on a few members of Ferox, but that's a full health Shade. Todd from above may act as a problem, but no, they were ready for him. It's a trade, but now just Mateus, and this is going to be perhaps a little bit too much. The 1v2, I lie, as Deptra falls. Just Mateus versus Shade right now, 20 seconds. Does he try to make the play? Does he try to hide, or do we see a frag right now? He's hanging out. Just gonna rip apart the Prisma, but right through it, Shade will take him back.
Shade utilizing his teammate's utility in a really good manner, able to really play around those prismas, certainly seems to be showcasing his prowess, all shaped up and brewed up through all the years of his competitive experience. Here finally shining through, a 2-round lead already, and it seems that Ferox are definitely prompting, and they really want to get themselves those wins, those frags, and being able to run away with as quick as possible of a win here in the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, I like the plays that were coming out from Skyfire, trying to catch some of the members of Ferox off guard, you know, distract them with the multiple different angles of basically stuff happening, so they're looking in the wrong spot, but they're just not falling for it. Or if they are, they're very quick to snap back and say, all right, actually I have to be watching this specific angle, because I know Smack is sitting on the stairs, and it seems very clean by Ferox to get back onto it. But maybe Skyfire are able to pull it off again, and maybe they catch Ferox at a slightly more vulnerable moment. But I mean, the play happened and it did what it was meant to, but at the same time, Ferox just didn't let it affect them.
Yeah, Ferox just able to. They have the ability to kind of snap back to get themselves going. Todd, oh boy, oh Todd, no, yeah, that would have been a way to really troll Skyfire there, trying to go for that triple Prisma lineup to get them guessing as to who is the right one. Would have been a fun game, but I don't think Skyfire are here to toy around anymore.
Yeah, you see the meme, you just shut it down in its tracks, pick up the free round, and move on to the next one. But yeah, Ferox, they're not going to bother around with that at all, even if Todd maybe wanted to show off for the camera a little bit. But for now, it's just going to be the single Prisma with Warden to back it up as well. He's got plenty of protection here with his Vulcan shields too. Oh, Smacker! Outside, he's not safe. On the stairs, he's not safe. Doesn't matter, Dieptra shuts him down.
Yeah, Dieptra, it has been absolutely clinical on a fair few of the roams throughout all 3 of the maps so far, really. Has been able to really make the play, make the effort, and... Oh! What? No! What? No!
Where did that come from?
You cannot bully a man like this. Like, he took away his dignity with that flick.
That is just, oh man, painful. And now you got to say, all right, boys, try and finish this one off. 2v4. Again, it's Mateus and Archie. At least they've got some form of breach right now. Not a lot of drones to work with at all. And how deep they are in enemy territory. Can't even get the barbed wire from there. Just trying to bait out his opponent, trying to tell them, hey, look, we're being aggressive. Come out and meet us. But Ferox are not taking the bait right now. They know that this round is all but in their hands right now. Sushi is just going to be hanging around the corner, although maybe doesn't get enough damage. Archie quite low though, so might have been enough. But that could be Skyfire's ticket back in. They're going to need to get a few more of those. C4 to blow open the wall. Shade wanted a bit of a surprise kill, but does not find it. Maybe this is where Skyfire can pounce on them, but just look at these angles right now. Warden is going to be a real problem. Oh, he's hanging out, but he doesn't get the shots, and now he could be in trouble right now. Doesn't find any of them. And now his position compromised, and he should be quite pinned down. But Shade as well. Finally, the patience pays off, and just Archie remains. And with that many hit points, well, that's about as many percentage chances he's got as winning this round. Another one in the bag for Ferox.
Yeah, oh my god, I still can't believe that Todd was able to outsnipe a sniper. Like, how much of an insult that is already. Especially for the fact that Oregon at this point, whenever Thatcher is banned, Kali is a must pick. And to be completely outed from that engagement, not even a single shot to be fired off at the enemy, that has to hurt there for Sequence. But maybe they might be able to recover themselves here. Still have 3 more rounds in this half to really settle the score. Or maybe Ferox will be able to run away with the dub as well.
I mean, it's certainly looking like it. They're just winning round after round right now, keeping clean throughout both halves of each round, never really letting anything slip away, not kind of losing rounds to silly mistakes anymore at all. Skyfire as well, if they see them, they're not pouncing on them at all. And it is just Ferox now rising to the challenge, rising above Skyfire. And now we just get to flip the question, and flip the challenge rather, for Skyfire to come back and rise to the power level of Ferox. It's one of the best ways to have a grand final, is when both teams are rising to meet each other's expectations. But for now, it does feel like Ferox have been the ones to rise and stay at that level, demanding that Skyfire come back up to them 3 rounds in a row, Cthulhu, and it doesn't feel like it's going to stop.
10 seconds to serve.
Yeah, finally seeing Ferox to really activate on their push is certainly a grand showcase, but they're not out of this yet. I mean, they are most certainly setting up a few interesting plays, but yeah, Todd has something went wrong there. Something.
Yeah, maybe it's the mega bait. Who knows? But I mean, how can you bait your opponents when they probably didn't even see it? Half health, gonna be a little annoying for him for sure, but I mean, hey, the man just outsniped a sniper, so maybe that's all he needs. Maybe he needs 1 hit point, and that'll be enough. His team has been winning these rounds. Oh, hang on. Here we go. Skyfire seeing if they can find anyone on the other side of that window right now. That's going to be a back off as well. Sushi falling too. things are starting to fall apart here for Ferox. They've got 3.5 members left.
Yeah, not a good beginning here for their round, and potentially just the right one for Skyfire to finally claim here for themselves. Certainly, yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough one for Ferox to make it work, but at the very same time, they were able to really lock down the site before. So if they are able to make it work once again, this could be huge. And, well, one of the Vulcan shields will be detonated just to make sure that the time will be drained. Shade as well on the flank, if he can make it in time and until the push into the attic will actually start happening, this is where they could actually make things work. Finally does find a well shot onto Mateus, that is Warden, and well, now in a 4v4, now that the shot of Mozzie went through, now they're going to be starting to really question where could the flank be coming from.
Yeah, they actually have to start paying attention to Shade running around downstairs. And there it is, Todd finding Smacker. Another one down right now. Ferox might be looking to pull off another round despite the shaky start so far. Skyfire hanging around the corners, but it's now once again on them to start making that aggression happen. It feels like it's slowing down. Shade, though, the madman, chucks it over. Kobe with the accuracy on that C4 sequence, blown to smithereens, and just like that, the rest of his team is soon to follow. Just Archie to try and clutch it out. He's got Deptra down, Todd on almost no health, but it's still a very, very hard one to win there. Another one in the bag for Ferox. They are on a rampage.
Hey, maybe Todd indeed only needed just about maybe 30 health to really make things work. That's maybe one of the more odd flexes that he would have probably had against Skyfire here, but nonetheless, a 4-point lead on Skyfire's own map pick as well, with them not being able to take a single attacking round just yet. That's definitely going to be very uplifting setup right now for Ferox, and definitely a bit of a tilter there for Skyfire as they're still seeming to be struggling to find that momentum, to find that mojo that what seemingly has been extinguished after Clubhouse.
Yeah, and it feels like Clubhouse again. Ferox are not just stomping rounds or kind of winning them because they get a lucky or a really good start with a free kill here or there. These are just clean rounds where, yeah, they might lose a few members here and there and maybe even have some silly explosions, drop Todd to half health. But apart from that, you know, they're getting down to the wire, their members are clutching, they're not having to rely on numbers advantages near the end of the round either. So this is, yeah, like I was saying, it feels like Clubhouse, so, but even more in the favor of Ferox, unless Skyfire start bringing some of these rounds back. But it feels like with what we saw from Skyfire over on Villa, it's just not really existing anymore. The Skyfire that could win rounds from behind just doesn't seem to be doing it anymore.
Yeah, maybe we'll be seeing a bit of a turnaround when Skyfire will make it to the defense, because we know that they can really perform even better on defense rather than the offense. So who knows, maybe there's going to be a reverse sweep to come out around on second half. But yeah, for the time being, Ferox already has established themselves a 2-point lead no matter what in this first half. So that's already a good setup, good performance overall. Jigsaw being contested right at the entrance of the big tower, and that is a scary thing. When Ferox get that ballsy, you know you've allowed them to do way too many things.
Yeah, and look, he just has to be so cautious around every single corner. It could just be his death immediately. He doesn't know that the retreat has happened, but he is just hanging back. Now he's got support, actually getting a bit of droning going down as well, so can clear it out, can get his position on the stairs, but will not be able to make it too much further at all. So he'll keep his life and won't fall down to anything just yet. But yeah, that certainly could have been just a Ferox shutting down the round from the start if Jigsaw walked into that one. But oh no, he walks into another one. This time it's Todd. That is the start that Ferox are looking for. Maybe a minute later than they were thinking, but there it is.
I'm not gonna lie, the moment next time I'm seeing Todd, even in ranked or in any, or in either casual or ranked, if he picks Alibi, I'm out. I'm not toying. I'm not playing against that. Like this, he is a monster on that operator now. He was able to showcase us that he, on the very unconventional operator, can be an absolute nightmare to play against. But talking about nightmares right now, Ferox's defense has been slowly falling apart. Already Deptra and Sushi out of the equation, all down to Shade, Warden, and Todd.
He knows this should be a complete guaranteed knockdown. They should be able to finish this one off. There's no way that Smack is going to be getting back up from that one. But even if he does, what a valuable C4 there. Ferox have just put Skyfire in an awkward position. Smacker, just a sneeze will take him out. And he's got to rely on the rest of his team. They get the breach off. They open the doors. But Ferox, they're just going to be waiting. They may move out to meet the aggression. You never know. And Skyfire certainly doesn't know against them right now. This time it's going to be patience, but Warden's got to back out. He knows someone's just likely around the corner, and he just read them like a book and ripped the pages apart and just secures this round for Ferox. One more to get it done. Shade will steal that kill away from him, but hey, who cares? 5 rounds in a row.
If it is going to be a flawless first half, I would probably call it a map. That's it. Just end the suffering that is currently being endured by Skyfire, because
yeah, just take us to Cafe.
Yeah, just take us straight away to Cafe. At this point, this is just looking like Skyfire just can't seem to find any kind of return. They are trying to push out their own playstyle here, but that is being through and through shut down, and without any kind of remorse even. Meeting Hall to be picked here, and look, last time we saw Meeting Hall, we saw a huge highlight from Todd being able to play it out, and just in general, it was just each and every meter that Skyfire were able to come through, they had to contest it, they had to double think and double check on each and every one of the angles that could have been potentially held by Ferox players.
And this is also just, I mean, you never want to be in this position, obviously. 0-5 down, the next round can be devastating. You never want to go into a half where you have to win every single round. I mean, sure, Ferox are showing that it's possible, or, you know, they may prove it here in round number 6. Remember that these rounds have come close, but, you know, consistently just a step or two ahead for Ferox in all the rounds. So just because they're close, just because they're not flawless rounds, doesn't mean that we can sit back and say, all right, you know, Skyfire might just pull off a round here. They haven't really been showing to play from behind since Villa in this series. That's way back in map number 1. And Ferox are very consistently either getting a lead early on, or if they do suffer some casualties or some damage early in the round, it's never anything too devastating, you know? Todd doesn't need a full health bar, apparently, to make these highlight plays. It's just feeling like, yeah, Ferox are working as a solid unit and never, ever feeling like they should be counted out.
I mean, look at even the scorelines here for the Ferox players comparative to Skyfire. Sequence, the player who was the highlight of map number 1, on 1 frag. Jigsaw on 1 frag, Mateus on 2. It's just a continuous shutdown from Ferox through and through, whereas we're seeing Shade, a reversed Agent 007, with 7 kills, no assists, and no deaths. He's gone through almost full half deathless and is able to turn the rounds around into his team's favor. He has been that consistent, and that is already a very, very scary statement that is being made. Todd already, once again, ups one another and ups his teammate again. Now on 8 frags. Warden taking a little bit of damage, but that's all right. There's still plenty of shots to be fired off. He has the power position there as well. Flashbang will not be blinding, and that is already another frag. Looking for a second one. He does get that. Meanwhile, Mateus does find some return onto Todd as well, finally shutting the madman down, but there's still the menace from above.
Yeah, and meanwhile, there's this clash messing around with you guys on the sidelines here, just kind of forcing you into these positions. And now they're just walking into the final line of sight here, and just one more victim here. I reckon they're going to play around with this one here, Cthulhu. Ferox want to have a bit of fun here. They know this one's in the bag. They're just going to keep him on outside. It's all on Spacker now to come in. And, I mean, there's no way he gets this one here. It's looking like it's going to be match point. Sushi says, hey, mate. How's it going? I'm coming outside. How you doing? Oh, you know what? I'm quite shocked to see you out here, and he's just gonna
Defender has been discovered.
whittle him down for sure. No way that Smacker comes into this one. We're gonna move on to match point here, Cthulhu. Ferox with a 6-0 from the first half.
I mean, hey, don't call it before. We saw a comeback in round number 2 of Villa, but yeah, this time surely this is not happening. Warden, even to Robin, the Salt will be busting out the pistol, and well, yeah, like you said, 6 rounds in a row, a match point with a flawless first half on Oregon. And now this seems like this is a map that is rather more preferred by Ferox rather than Skyfire.
Yeah, that's the exciting thing, guys. If you may not remember, this is Skyfire's map pick here, and they are yet to pick up a single round. Now, of course, we're swapping sides. Defense may be what they're prioritizing, and this could be the one that they're looking for, but at the stage here, it's not like Ferox are doing anything crazy, anything special with their defenses. It just felt like a brick wall that they're walking into. However, when we're talking about their attack, this looks a little special.
We have another brick wall. Yeah, we nearly saw actually a blitz pick as well from Warden, which would have been another funny thing to witness, but instead it's going to be the Mountain himself. Montaigne will be coming out to play. And here he actually just might be able to deal just enough psychological damage here against Skyfire just to force them out of their comfort positions, because we saw a fair few times when Amonti was played against Skyfire, it did manage to catch them off guard for a couple of rounds. And well, right now for Ferox, only a couple of rounds is all that they need really. If this round fails, they still have plenty of ground to really play about. But there's also another thing for Ferox. They have that almost a curse. Now, when the moment they get to a very important match point, they occasionally tend to miss out on a few of those closing rounds. So here, the main question is going to be, can Ferox close it out right here, right now, or whether Skyfire will be able to bleed the rounds back to maybe overtime?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to drop a few rounds when you're on match point. It's a completely different thing to drop 6 rounds in a row. So Skyfire, I don't think they can really count on the Ferox curse here. Maybe if we go to some of the other maps, we might get to that stage. But oh, this is a quick push here. One of the very fun parts about having a Monty is that you can just move forward quite safely. Look at that utility starting to get drained here, and all the information as well. Like, anyone peeks their head right now, Skyfire are just gonna completely give up their position. The bandit trick goes off without a hitch here, so that is going to be one entry now denied, at least for now.
Yeah, right now they need to get rid of that position at the pillars. They know that there's also a Maestro here that will be downed, potentially could be finished off. No, instead he will be just downed here, and Smacker will be looking for that very angle to contest. But for the time being, at the very least, oh, some damage is already being dealt. Smacker is also now low on health. 20 HP for both himself and this. Yeah, a bit of a peekaboo. Warden will be just tanking a little bit of that damage. And well, right now this is looking very nice, very swift here for Ferox, as they're just about to swing in. Plentiful amount of utility has been drained, and oh, it's a double team kill. No, Ferox, what are you doing? 4 versus 2 all of a sudden. All thanks to that chaos that was caused by a single shield operator.
Oh no, what was certainly in the hands of Ferox. They have dropped quite a few members to low health, so maybe they do find a way back in here. Claymore, Deptra knows, he's communicating the shade as well. Will the Claymore be the one to pick up the win here? I don't think they're going to rely on it, though. They're just going to go for a big push as they start swinging around these corners right now. Explosions everywhere, but they hold strong right now. They know they've got the time, but they're going quick anyway. And they know that there should be a few low health members. Now we're just waiting for Skyfire to be the ones to make the push. Moving at the wrong time, though. He stays alive. Shade will pick up a kill. Smacker now gone, but now they know exactly where he is. The Claymore, the big play. This is going to have to count and have to make the damage work. Oh, he peeks his head out, and Deptra does not hesitate to take it right off. Now we're in 2v2 territory. The plant going down, and Deptra gets his next victim. 1v1 now, but no, Skyfire will not let this round slip away, and they stay alive.
Finally, Skyfire are able to pick up a round. At the very least, they won't be making it a flawless game here for Ferox. And oh man, if not for that double team kill, this round would have been most definitely ending in a whole different way. But nonetheless, we are staying in Oregon for just a little bit longer. It's 1-6 scoreline, 5 more rounds for Skyfire to pick up if they want to make this map yet another attempt for their map point. But for now, it's kids' dorms that will be played out.
Yeah, but that's the thing there, Cthulhu, is that was the double team kill, which basically put the round win on a dinner plate for Skyfire, and Ferox just said, "Here you go, guys, eat it on up," and they, still almost pulled it back. That is, I mean, yeah, great that Skyfire picked up a round, but I feel like it doesn't mean that we can expect them to win this round here. The Monty's not coming back, so we may not see a double team kill. I mean, I hope we wouldn't see one again anyway, but at least now we can be a little more sure. So my question is, I still don't think Skyfire are going to be able to pull this one back off. I mean, they haven't shown us. And I'm saying Ferox give the win to them.
Well, look at it this way. Right now, there's still a donut player on the side of Ferox, as sad as it sounds. There's still, if they are able to shut down, say, Shade and Todd, they have a very solid chance at making the dub here. They have a really solid lineup. Smaga has been absolutely clinical on the ACOG plays with a dog. So here, Skyfire have all of the tools for the comeback, for the play, and for the dub that they need. It's rather more so just how their mental fortitude is looking here.
I mean, it can be rough when you're staring down match point, especially when you've got to win 6 rounds in a row. You've got to have basically the same half they did, and that round even came close there. So yeah, they got a good shot onto Todd from above, and he will not get any revenge at all as he falls as the cleanup happens. But no, it will actually get some amount of vengeance here as Archie will fall too. So it is 1 apiece, but Todd, the Twitch player, now out of the table.
Yeah, Todd being out is definitely going to hurt things a little bit, but not as much as the fact that both now Doc and Wamai are gone off board with barely any kind of punishment there for Ferox, and Shade is actually still on being just about above 60 HP, should be able to really take a few more gunfights. But right now, this is looking like a very good push here from Ferox, given that they have now established their positions from multiple directions, and unless Skyfire players will be able to really bring in the heat and being able to clutch out a few of those positions, I don't really see them succeed.
Yeah, and the fact that they got it done so early means they've got pretty much the whole round to play with to make their numbers advantage just work the best way it can. Mateus is just dancing around trying to find the shots underneath his feet, but it will be death from below instead. Jigsaw gets the vengeance, so not completely for free here, but we're once again staring at a numbers advantage here for Ferox. This 2v3 could work. They've got the smoke, so they could buy a bit of time, but Shade from below as well. Still looking for anything, and now trying to get some feet, get some footsies, but he doesn't find any kills with that either. And that clock, moving forward, we're getting closer to 0, but we're still looking at the 3v2.
Sure do. There's still a crossfire that is being held, and I'm pretty sure Ferox are very knowledgeable about that fact. No attempt at the pushing through the double doorway will be happening, and interestingly enough, the position at the armory hallway has been completely forfeited. Fantastic usage of the smoke grenades as well to slow down the push. Jigsaw finding the shot onto Depshire to even out the man count. Shade right now is looking mighty, almost dead, and maybe a few skeleton keys should be making things a whole lot better, but right now, Sequence, Shade, both of them so low on health. A single peek at the smoke player will be it, and there's a trade-off as well. 1v1 situation, 10 seconds to go. The diffuser needs to start getting planted, and right now, Jigsaw will not be knowledgeable at all about the plant. He's waiting for him being hunted down, but the diffuser has been planted. The time will now start working against him.
Yeah, and if Jigsaw should be able to get out of this one, he can just hang out below and basically deny any disable on the diffuser. He is going to be moving back, making sure we don't see Jigsaw just get in there for free. The Warden is just hanging right there on the diffuser. Will get the kill, will get the headshot, and will pick up Oregon for Ferox, who are now on series point.
Sure do. A 7-1 That's one way to one-up your opponents. After a bit of an embarrassment on map number 1, Ferox, already taking 2 maps in a row, are now definitely showing how it's supposed to be done.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can just forget pretty much anything that happened back on Villa. You've got 2 very solid map wins now on your pocket. Obviously, your own map pick is great to pick up, but picking up your opponent's map pick in that fashion, 7-1, and arguably the round they threw away may have even gone their way anyway. That could have just been a complete 7-0 instead, Cthulhu.
Oh yeah, this definitely had all of the chance and all of the potential to be a flawless game here. But oh man, I mean, I'm just amused by how well now Ferox are coordinated.
Oh yeah, I mean, it just completely shows why they were picked to be one of the favorites, but they've got one more map to win to take out this entire season of LPL Pro. But that's coming up after the break. When we return, we're going to Cafe Dostoyevsky. We are maybe one map away from crowning our grand champion of Season 2 here for LPL Pro Rainbow Six Siege. Ferox with an incredible statement match. Not just 1, but 2 maps in a row with an incredible scoreline as well. Now we're moving to their map pick. We're going to Cafe Dostoyevsky. They just need to win 1 more map to take out that crown.
Yeah, so far Ferox have been absolutely nuts on their plays. They were able to take their opponent's map pick with a 7-1 scoreline, which could have been a 7-0 as well. But yeah, this has been probably one of their rather more dominant plays so far. And going on their own map pick last time, let me just quickly check the notes. It was a 7-3 scoreline against Skyfire. So even then, Skyfire were having a few issues. But there's a big but to it all, because
I love
last time Ferox, oh yes, yeah. Last time Ferox did play against Exto, it was a overtime game. So a little bit shaky performance there for themselves. And for Skyfire, they were definitely looking quite nasty playing against Bizarre on Cafe as well. So a few things can be said here, namely that both of the teams could be feeling much more comfortable here on this very map, but I reckon Ferox might just be having a slight amount of experience here.
Yeah, and then also talk about momentum, right? The 2 maps in a row, you got your map pick, their map pick, and this is all coming back after Villa was a disaster for them. I mean, there's no real other way to put it. It was a complete disaster. And Skyfire pounced on it and had, just as good a win over back there. But we haven't seen anything close to that sort of success all the way since back in map number 1. So now that we're going over to, again, this one being Ferox's map pick, you imagine that they've got some tricks up their sleeve here and they're feeling pretty confident on it. Historically, the last time these teams played, it was Ferox to be looking really strong on this one. Honestly, it just feels like Skyfire have lost all their steam and they put all the gas into map number 1 and they've completely run out, and Ferox are running away with it as we jump into Cafe Dostoyevsky. This one, finally, maybe perhaps the final map of the entire season. The whole season brought to you by Conquer, the best monitors around, the big sponsor of LPL Pro here. And so 1 more time, maybe 2 more times if Skyfire are pulling this one back, but let's get into bans 1 more time.
1 more time indeed. Maverick is the first one to see himself out once again. Poor man just cannot seem to be able to get any playtime really, as 3rd map in a row he is being banned out. Thatcher most definitely will be seeing himself out as well at this point. No even need to gear up. There he goes. Up next, probably going to be a Mira, and maybe I'll go for a Valkyrie ban.
A Valkyrie ban?
If not Valkyrie,
definitely.
Yeah.
If
not Valkyrie, it's a Kaid.
Yeah. A bit of a favorite, I was going to say, the Valkyrie for, kind of both teams, but Skyfire in particular. They like to do some cheeky runouts with it. They also get, a huge amount of value, obviously, from the Black Eyes with all the vision they provide. But yeah, it's definitely up there. It's not likely to, definitely be the ban coming out here, especially, that Skyfire's ban now. So yeah, Echo going to be the other one to be banned out, so they'll be happy to pick up Valkyrie through a few of these rounds, I believe.
Yeah, Echo ban is also one of those things that kind of has been seeing itself happen a few times, but not as much in that kind of brief time when he was banned out from the competitive play. So with him now back into it, he's been seeing an increase once again of the bans, and well, for now, he will not be seeing any action on Cafe Dostoyevsky. Reading place and final place, though, will be the first round to be played out, and Skyfire do like to do this on Cafe, just to kind of distract their opponents, to give a few maybe false indications on where they might be going, and this is where things could really be played out, and this is where the kind of the mental game could be also coming into play.
Yeah, I mean, last map has certainly got to, I mean, not just last map, but the last two maps have got to be on the minds of Skyfire right now. They couldn't manage to get it together during the last break. Hopefully they managed to find something, some sort of mojo here in the last break, because it's certainly going to be needed right now. Jumping here into round one, Cthulhu, you got a few fun things happening. I think the big one to think is Todd is still bringing this Twitch out. It's certainly looking like it's starting to be a bit of a staple of his.
10 seconds to insertion.
Yeah, partially that's due to the fact that Skyfire wasn't really
5 seconds left.
doing anything to prevent Twitch pick. With Thatcher gone, he probably doesn't want to play Kali. He still wants a great fragging weapon, which is the F2, even after a numerous amount of nerfs. And, well, Skyfire was not really huge on bringing in neither Mute nor Mozzie, so an easy set of picks. Oh, Deptra pretty much there at the mercy of his opponent, will be able to really run away with his life.
Yeah, almost managed to find something there, but just whiffed a few shots too many. Sequence pretty low right now, but, you know, still alive, and that is what counts. He'll be able to back on out of there, but didn't really buy too much time. Mateus has got some pretty good intel here, so they should be able to track pretty much all the movements here for Ferox. It'll be pretty hard to deal with it. They know the sight lines. They're going to have to worry about where they can peek. Right now, plenty of info, but a big old OEM moment from Sushi to get through the wall means that they've got a lot of progress to be made, and you know, they're burning those goo mines one way or another, whether that's shooting them or just ripping them out of their leg. Getting through all this utility right now, shields and goo mines all just getting taken down, and well, making progress, but eventually you do have to pay a price for it right now. Ferox have got their first kill, and it's Jigsaw.
And they already managed to make quite a fair bit of the advancement there, albeit Smacker does manage to return fire onto Sushi and manage to get him out, but Sequence and Smacker are already so low on health that their next engagement might be fatal. Deptra, on just about 60 to 70 HP, will be attempting to help his teammate, but not really needed. Todd, with the F2, once again, that weapon is a death machine. 1000 RPM, 25 rounds, all you really need to find a frag for yourself.
Yeah, just get that left mouse button, hold it on down. All right, now we get to see Todd's little specialty, the Twitch shock drones. See how much utility he's going to be able to burn, how much intel he's going to be able to grab. Smacker, though, just trying to save the entire round for his team right now. Archie's the only one with any real significant health for the defense. There's a minute to go, so Ferox have the time to plan this one out. They've already got lots of intel through the scouting coming out from the Twitch drones, so Ferox should have everything on the table right now. Most of the utility now gone. I think there might be a few concussion mines still left for Archie, but that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, we got 2 goo mines in the pocket of Smacker, but I don't think he's interested in throwing them out just yet. He wants to get these headshots, but he's going to have to wait a little bit longer for this. Ferox are certainly taking their time here, but they've got the plant down right now. It doesn't look like there's any contest at all, and we're moving into a post-plant situation.
Yeah, already there's a down onto Sequence and out. Smacker right now could really find himself a frag, but no, will be shut down promptly by Warden. All down to Archie with a pistol out, tries to find a few shots, but those are not connecting in any shape or form. Ferox can kick things off once again on their own map pick.
Yeah, and once more, it's not like it was some crazy round where they were handed a bunch of free kills or anything. They had some pretty clean moves, actually involved in a few trades rather than just flat out kills. But still, they moved into the final stages of the round with enough people, enough information, enough utility drained to make it as smooth as butter to finish it off and pick up that win there. They'd already softened up their opponents, so you could see that they were on basically no health for a lot of that. So even if they didn't get some of the trades back, it was pretty easy for them to pick them up in the end there. So once more, a strong opening, but an even stronger finish in that round by Ferox.
Yeah, Ferox seeming to be just completely unforgiving. It almost feels like one of those small revenge stories. Matter of fact, this is a partial revenge story here for Ferox as an org, for Deptra as well as a player for the org, as he stayed around after the original team disbanded after the end of Season 1. And this is kind of his own way of climbing back up, getting the wins throughout the whole season, and potentially earning himself the win in the grand final after the upset that was pulled off against himself and his team in Season 1. This is more so of a clash of two veterans of LPL Pro.
Yeah, it'd be quite nice to see someone who's worked so hard for so long to finally pick up a win that he's really been grinding at. And, well, he's just a few steps away. It was one map away, and that map has started off incredibly strong too.
Yeah, we won't be calling the dub just yet, because since it hasn't really happened and everything could really come around, and Skyfire could maybe finally will be able to really reactivate themselves and get things going. But alas, for the time being, it's round number 2. It's defense of Kitchen. And we will be just seeing the beginning of the action phase, where so far the setup of Skyfire, I mean, they're looking quite solid. The rotations are there. All of the positions are very much able to perform. And, well, talking about performance, it's Jigsaw to kick things off with the first blood straight onto Shade.
Yeah, and he gets right on out of there, so that one's just a freebie for sure. It's Todd, the next one to fall. Frag's now coming out, but Sushi also going to be dropped to the ground.
Oh,
and this one's
man.
looking like a wash for Skyfire, looking like it's just going to be a completely flawless round. Just Warden left to maybe tarnish that record.
There we go. This is the Skyfire that we were waiting to see to appear and reemerge after what was a very tame one after the previous 2 maps. So finally, this is where Just might be able to bring in the comeback, maybe, where they might just swing the momentum in their favor. Not going to be a flawless round at all this time, as Warden... Oh, hello. Yes, that's a smiley face, a little bit scuffed, but you got there. But... Oh, hello. Good night, Jigsaw as well. That's a 1v3 situation, very much possible now for Warden, albeit a 1v3 is still a tough one. Could very much happen. We already saw sequence pull off a 1v4. Why not try to go for the 1v5?
He's got so much time to do it too. Although, still 1v3. Incredibly hard. He still has all of his utility to go as well, but these choke points are going to start to be quite punishing here. He makes some progress through them, still does not find anyone, and now he's probably starting to sweat a little bit. He knows he needs to pick off these frags and do it quickly, making these turns. But the crossfire's there. Gets one, maybe, but he's taken so much damage that it should be all but impossible for him to clean this one out. But, I mean, he's already got 3 of the 5, so do not count this amount out just yet. Smacker and Archie remain to not throw this round away for Skyfire. Warden taking his first few steps, perhaps his final few steps of the round here, looking for anything he can through these walls, vaulting up to get the vision, but no, the dream was too much. Skyfire will shut that one down.
A valiant attempt, though, from Warden to try to really get his momentum up and running. We are going to be having a bit of a rehost to come around as well, but nonetheless, a 1-to-1 scoreline is certainly signaling that we are going to be having a much more competitive 4th map. And for Cafe, this is exactly what we might want to see, because this being potentially the final map, this is the last resort, the last chance for Skyfire to really get their redemption, to break through that, and maybe, just maybe, get themselves onto map number 5.
Well, Cthulhu, before we get to map number 5, we're going to have to take a bit of a breather as we get the players back into the lobby, but once we return, we're going to continue on Cafe Dostoevsky. Welcome back, guys. We just had a bit of a breather here as we got the rehost underway to catch you up. Well, we've got a 1 round apiece right now for Cafe, so you guys haven't missed too much. We've still got most of the map to get into here in the grand finals. And just to catch you guys up as well, is Ferox currently in the lead at 2 rounds right now. Skyfire, they got to find something to pull it back here, but that 1 round, that might have been the ticket in.
Yeah, I mean, so far as Skyfire were able to really finally find potentially their mojo. They were able to lock down the site pretty well, all things considered. Well, this map is their final chance at staying in this grand final and pushing it into map number 5. For the time being, though, they need to take it in a round-by-round basis. This is where their mental fortitude will be tested. This is where their gunfight will be tested as well. And meanwhile, for Ferox, they just need to keep playing as stable as they can. They were able to execute a very well coordinated first round where they were able to lock down the site post-plan situation and just completely out any kind of chances that Skyfire would have had. Same goes for their previous maps. They were able to pull a phenomenal return. Villa not going really in their favor, 7-3 to Skyfire, but then the Clubhouse, Oregon, I mean, 7-3 and a 7-1 scoreline, that's already quite something to brag about as well.
Oh, yeah, and, to come back from doing that, but looking at the round that we just saw from Skyfire, where they got, arguably you could call it a flawless round, but, Warden tried to ruin that a little bit, but, very strong opening from them where they basically guaranteed the win, and so it's going back to what I was saying before, where when Skyfire win, it seems to be real hard and right from the start. Sometimes, at least back in Villa, it was, the second half pushes were quite good, but in here, just ever since we left Villa, it's felt like Skyfire hasn't been able to come back from any disadvantages where, they can win that round very clearly, but we need to start seeing them able to start coming back from say a 4v5 or even a 3v5. It happened in Villa, so we know they can do it, but until they can do it consistently, it's going to be a bit rough because you can't just always have a flawless round like that. Maybe they can prove me wrong as we jump into round 3, but hey, I'm still holding my breath for, Skyfire's return.
Yeah, Skyfire's return is still yet to be fully and well in effect because they were able to run away with a point here so far on Cafe. And it was a very confident one, but the reading room defense was definitely a little bit still shaky. Still a few hiccups were made, namely as well, even on round 2, the roam game was a little bit almost too cheeky, too cocky from their perspective, and almost resulted in them losing the round. It did go down from 1v5 to a 1v2, and all thanks to the 2-player lockdown of the site, they were able to really find themselves that point. So a few improvements still can be made here, but at the very least they are on the right path to start bringing it back to Ferox.
We'll have to wait and see though, Cthulhu. We've got to see a few more rounds before I'm going to be sold here. But that said, Ferox going to have to continue this streak. Can't just give it up right now here. So they're going to start opening things up. While Mateus, as always, going to be tracking them here on this pulse. So no entry is going to be going unseen. The real question is going to be whether he can find a cheeky little C4, get a freebie kill. I think maybe he will, as he doesn't even need the C4. No, the head got out of the way. The head got out of the way and he just dodged it like the Matrix. And now Mateus' free kill. Well, maybe he's got to pay for it here. He will be hanging around to see if there is any kind of retaliation, but will not get paid off just yet.
Yeah, there was also the debris that was hanging around there, and the window frame certainly didn't really work out at all. But for the time being, Jigsaw, a wild Jigsaw has been spotted. Same goes for Sequence. He's still there in the washrooms, just having a very nice cheeky angle there with a punch hole. could potentially find himself a kill, but instead it's Shade to open up the scoreline. First one to go on into his favor. Same goes for Sushi as well, finding that fantastic angle as well. My goodness, this is just looking so well. Archie, though, on the flank does find the down onto Deptra. C4 rather than the Salt as well, just to make sure he's not taking any hostages there. He's not taking any chances. He just wants to get this over with. And with IQ gone, now things going to be a little bit tougher, but there's still a Twitch drone which just got taken out. Smacker's position has been revealed that he's back on site.
I know the C4 was like necessary for it, but it just looked really funny. But you're right, we got Ferox now. They still have a good man advantage. A little bit burnt up here on the health bars, but they've got to watch out for any sneaky plays coming out from below. Mateus still able to track them. That goo mine going to be a real pain. He's going to have to run right back up the stairs. His position revealed, but Ferox don't have a lot of time. The down to Todd will be the first step, and that defuse is cancelled right now. 2v2. They won't get to do it, but they still got some time, and they even have the health advantage right now. But Skyfire, they can play the clock. They have an in for this one. Oh no, it's going to be Shade, the first one to drop to the floor. No one's going to be getting him back up, and the next one to fall will be Warden. Skyfire, they're coming back. The return is happening.
The return of the Jedi is well in effect. Fantastic play here by Archie and Smacker, being able to really shut any kind of push down, and probably even bigger props to Smacker here, being barely on any health, able to land all of his shots is certainly a very noteworthy thing. So a point advantage here for Skyfire after a rough start on this map. They're seeming to be able to regain the momentum now that they are on defense and get some maybe early rounds to play with.
But that's the kind of round that I was looking for Skyfire to win. Once they can win the rounds like that and not make it look like a fluke or anything, then now I'm confident that they can start pulling some rounds back, maybe even pull out a map, maybe even make it look like Villa, because now it doesn't feel like, oh yeah, you see Ferox get 1 or 2 kills to entry. That's exactly what happened in round 3, and it wasn't enough. So Skyfire can start pulling these ones back. They're absolutely not put off by what a lot of teams would be put off by. 2 maps in a row where incredibly one-sided, you've been taken out. Now you're on, facing down series point. You got to win 2 maps in a row. That could be hard for a lot of teams to deal with, but I mean, yeah, it's only 2 rounds that they've pulled it back, but finally we've seen them able to do it and not really have too much trouble with it.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I don't think there will be a whole lot of trouble really to grant themselves a few more rounds for Skyfire here. I'm still at a bit of a question whether they will be able to make a comeback though full map, but anything can happen here. Look, Ferox were able to make a comeback on their opponent's map pick, and that was a 7-1. Skyfire, if they will be able to catch Ferox being too cocky about their pushes, might just be able to punish them as well. And for the time being, it's looking like Skyfire are able to really shut things down pretty well here. Deptra to find, though, the first frag onto Smacker. Now, that is a solid beginning. Smacker was one of the key players for the team to be able to get the closure on this site, so great start.
Oh man, Shade getting a lot of information up there with his drone. They've also forced the roam from Jigsaw, or at least delayed it by pushing him back away from the window. This one should very much delay it as he gets taken out. It is a trade, so not completely for free, but now they don't have to worry about that roam. They can take this problem head on, and Sushi's doing exactly that. The flash is now starting to come out. So much time for Ferox to close this one out. But we've seen Skyfire come back from a round like this before.
Oh yeah. Seen plentiful of those comebacks so far, and with so many angles being opened up here against Ferox, they will need to contest so many engagements. Shade needs to pretty much keep an eye out on all of his pixels that could be held here, and well, could be just a drop down through the new hatch, which could potentially signal the grand push, the big one, because right now they're getting rid of the last bits of the utility.
Just the drones to come out now as well. Like I said, Ferox have so much time to play with. They may as well get this information, everything they can, making the push. The breach now coming out too, and it should be a retreat here. They should be able to force it back, but no, he was waiting. But Deptra was there, and Deptra continues to be there. Sequence of Mateus down, and Ferox just in a blur finished off the round.
absolute devastation there by Ferox. The moment they realized what they can do, the moment Warden was able to get the position in the White Stairs hallway, this was pretty much just about all over for Skyfire's play. I gotta also say that, funnily enough, Bar, last time Skyfire were playing Cafe against Bazaar, Bar was one of the only sites that they weren't able to close out. This was their kryptonite. And maybe this here is going to be the big play, the ideal way about it for Skyfire, for Ferox rather, if they are able to force Skyfire back to Bar.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see for sure, because it's already starting to swing back towards Ferox right now, but at least we're getting the signs of life for Skyfire. It's been 3 maps where we've been saying, oh yeah, this could be a close one here, but finally, now onto Cafe, it looks like we're actually starting to get one of those close maps. Of course, we'll really be able to tell once we swap sides if it's going to continue to be close. Sometimes teams just have a spectacularly different performance once they swap roles, but for now, while we've got Ferox on attack, it does seem like both teams are swinging it back pretty hard. The last few rounds, though, have been pretty good openings by Ferox, so if they don't allow Skyfire to clutch anything... Oh, no. Smack, what are you doing here, mate? Alright.
Well, he was probably getting spotted there by the drone, so he's just dancing around. I mean, nobody will shoot him initially there, so nothing too important for him to lose. For the time being, though, it's Action Phase that is starting up, which could actually hurt him.
No one taken off from the bat just yet, but quick little push from Ferox so far. And they are, once again, the last few rounds, they've managed to buy the second part of the round with quite a lot of time left, but particularly in round 4, but they're taking this one fairly slowly. Remember, by about now, Deptra had already killed, I believe it was Smacker, and so to get in here and maybe get an early kill would have been great, but it looks like they're going to have to walk inside with all 5 members. Remember, they got a pretty great push around several of these corners, where perhaps maybe they shouldn't have been allowed to, but for now they're getting a fair amount of progress right inside. Now they're starting to open up some pretty vulnerable positions against their opponents. These banded batteries don't stand a chance, so now look at this, Cthulhu. They've got just under 2 minutes, and now they can start opening the doors. No banded batteries in the way. This is looking pretty good for Ferox, apart from the fact that no one has died yet.
Well, the moment you say that, it's Warden to find the shot. Mateus off board, that is a great opening. Already the doorway back into the kitchen has been shut down, and Smacky has found himself in a little bit of a predicament, but there's still an angry Italian right at the entrance of the bakery, behind the counters, sitting and waiting for the prey to jump out.
And Warden, well, he doesn't want to be outdone by himself, so he'll continue to pick up another kill. The Smacker now to fall down to Wamai. Oh, Archie, though, says double kill. No. Let me show you how it's done with a double headshot. And Archie, who's going to pick up the last one here? I mean, look, Warden, Sushi, Shade. Oh, man,
no,
this could be going all right.
This whiff is happening again. This time, it was Todd that dropped down right in front of Deptra and got him killed. Jigsaw as well to take out Sushi. This is all falling apart for Ferox just in a moment of probably the truth, really, for them to make that push. Skyfire now definitely looking like they're just about to close it out. With 30 seconds remaining, Ferox don't really have a whole lot of options to really play around. They don't have the diffuser. They have to go in for the frags. And right now, Skyfire are playing a very patient, very careful game here. As well, there's another pick onto Shade. 15 seconds remaining. All that is remaining for Warden is to try to get those exit frags, and even that is probably going to get denied pretty quickly. He needs to just send it onto the side, maybe try to find a few kills, but there it is. There's the shutdown sequence. He's the one to make the effort here to shut it down, and that's a 3rd round for Skyfire.
And now I think we can truly say that, yeah, this is going to be a certainly close one, because you've got Skyfire punching back on these rounds. They aren't just letting, oh yeah, Deptra got a double kill, well, look, we'll get a double kill of our own. And suddenly they're looking a lot more into this one, because they can play from behind, like I've been saying. I've been asking to see come out from them, and now I'm absolutely satisfied. I think this is gonna go the distance. This one could go all the way to overtime. I mean, yeah, we got to wait for the roles to swap just a little bit for now, but it doesn't seem to matter who gets these strong openings because both teams have these clutch potentials. But if an opening can be strong enough, maybe that can start shutting them down. But I mean, when a double kill for free isn't really good enough, I'm just scared to count out any team, no matter how far they're behind.
Defuse as many bombs as they can.
Oh yeah, it seems that the unfortunate circumstances keep on pursuing Fairhawks throughout multitude of rounds, a multitude of maps as well. We saw on Oregon a very unfortunate double team kill. Here we see a drop down right in front of one of the teammates and resulting in a double headshot for Archie. It's not looking pretty here for Fairhawks, and them losing out this very round could really impact them in the long run. But for the time being, it's the final round of the first half, the final time for Skyfire to defend, and they have a potential chance at maybe getting themselves a maybe a 4th point, or maybe Fairhawks will be able to even out the round count.
Yeah, I mean, the 4-2 would be a huge weight off their shoulders. I mean, if it just goes back and forth, you get the 3-3 half, then yeah, I think Skyfire is still sweating. Remember, they're going up against Fairhawks, who are on series point right now. So basically every round here is accounting for a lot more. Oh, the tracking on the pulse. Knows exactly where he is. How does it feel, mate, that someone tracks you along your exact position? So they're probably going to stay rather clear away from that, or maybe see if they can find something. Maybe bait out a kill a little bit, because of course he's going to be seeing him. And maybe Mateus thinks he has the jump, but will he know if it's the IQ? Will he fall for the bait and think he's just going to back off, just going to shoot to see if he can find anyone on the other side of the door? But for now, it looks like, oh, they're still just tracking each other.
All right, they're being very patient, both of them, because they know that there was an idea, there was a chance potentially for a peak, but for the time being, they're just waiting for one another's aggression. There is some droning coming around. Sequence already just took a chunky amount of damage, but no death for him just yet. And it's a game of, well, now info gathering and frags. Deptra finally finding the pulse, and well, that's the threat from below eliminated.
But if there's one thing that Skyfire managed to get from that, it was time. Mateus was buying so much time for his team. Sequence, I imagine, getting out alive is also going to be pretty important, because he bought a lot of time too. This Twitch drone getting some decent value too, as well, as the next breach now going to start to come through. I think it blew up the drone though. But for now, that's okay, as now we're about to start turning the corners. Still a lot of time for Fairhawks to make this final push. They've only got one member down, but they've, like I said, drained a lot of utility. And even with all the time Mateus bought, these pushes are starting to go quite quickly. Deptra has been on fire with his swings around the corners so far. You're getting not just one, but double kills several times now. We still have more Twitch drones in the pocket, so it's not like the utility is all run dry for Fairhawks right now. But Deptra is trying to see if he can find anything. He's got the backup of the Claymore as well. But Fairhawks still just want to get a little more information, get every bit of utility out, but they may be punished for it right now. They've lost Sushi. That's the Habana gone, but he's done his job. Warden snaps back though. Jigsaw's out of here. 20 seconds though, Cthulhu. This has got to be it, and it looks like it will be. Fairhawks rushing on in right now. They've just got 2 more to go, but we've seen Skyfire come back from this before, and they're playing the clock again. Just one more. It's Archie right. Those 10 seconds to go. Where's the plant? Are they just going for the frag? No, Archie! Archie is still staying alive. 3 seconds. The plant will go down, so he'll have to try and bring this one back, because it will stick right now. And he's just a little late to deny it. He's got to find a way back in, but I imagine he's just going to be looking for the frags here. Anything he can find through the floor.
Sure will. Well, he knows for a general pre-fire, does make an opening, does see the 2 of the attackers, but doesn't have the range nor the damage to really take on either of them. They have managed to spread out a little bit more thinner now, but his pre-fire does reveal the position and maybe the intentions as well, as he's just getting rid of all of the utility. Todd and Shade still very healthy, both of them, against an SMG-11 wielder. We'll be finding, well, No frag whatsoever there for Archie, and well, it's Shade to shut him down with a skeleton key. Ferox to even out the scoreline.
Yeah, it's just way too awkward for him to come back in and pull that one off, so we thought maybe this is where Skyfire could pull it back, but no, with just one member left, it wasn't enough, and now we tie up the series, and now Skyfire and all of their fans are going to be sweating a little bit because right now we're in perhaps the final half of the entire season. Ferox on series points, and now they get to stick onto defense, and this could be where they start popping off right now. Remember, this is likely the side that they wanted because they picked their side second, and so this could be exactly where they're looking to start just taking the entire map away. It could just be a few rounds in a row, but if the script goes as planned, well, Skyfire could start swinging back here round for round.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Hey, this is
any
still
bombs
very
they
much
can.
on the table. All of these plays that Skyfire has been pulling off definitely has been signaling that they may be recovering from all of the losses that they have taken in the previous two maps, and maybe this is where they start shining. For the time being, though, Ferox setting their positions up here on bar, that's looking like a very interesting setup overall. Having a little bit of that cover, having those mute jammers as well to deny some drones, some breach denial as well there. A very well-balanced setup of utility. Now it's rather more so a question of how the frag's going to be looking, because Todd, he's back on Alibi.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
All right, well, Warden took a little bit of damage, but apart from that, everyone is going to be looking nice and healthy. No one's going to be taken out right at the start. We've got Todd back on that Alibi, like you mentioned, and it's always so fun to see what he can do. And the thing I like as well, and we saw it a lot back on, I think it was even just Villa as well, is that his team plays around it too. They know how to utilize his prisoners. It's very much a team ability rather than just Todd trying to solo carry anything with his tricks. But we'll see how it works out here. Maybe the last time on Cafe. Skyfire's attempts at attack. Their defense held up pretty strong, but let's see if it works here when they flip sides.
I like this opening as well. Not a whole lot of teams actually utilize this angle. That it's a very much of a pixel one, but you can get a really nice long angle onto anyone that is trying to hold, say, just outside of minibar, and that could be huge if they would have been able to pick up a frag. So far, it's just that's a whole lot of drones being dumped down
Yeah,
that
it's a drone
hatch.
party.
It's a drone party, yeah. They want to get as much information as possible before they even commit to any of it, but it seems for the time being, Red Stairs and the closest vicinity is all clear. There is a Wild Todd in the reading, and the moment he's going to go on a prowl, this is where some scary things might start happening.
But look at how much time they've already burned. It's half the round already. They've got one hole done, but they're still pretty far from the site at the moment. There's still so many lions down, and like you mentioned, Todd hanging around too, looking for a bit of a surprise sneaky play. Jigsaw is trying to push out a little bit, but still just being stopped a little in his tracks right now. That Evil Eye, that's being super annoying for sure. They're going to have to go and deal with it, and there it goes. All the pings now out, so 100%. Skyfire are aware of where Ferox are hanging out, but they only have a minute to go in for a full push. They've softened their targets up a little bit, and Smacker, well, he cleans up just one more right now, and that's Todd off the table for now. But can Skyfire do it? 5v4, make that a 4v4 with Deptra's Revenge. And look at their health bars. Is it going to be enough with only 45 seconds to go?
Oh man, yeah, this is looking a little bit shaky here and a little bit dicey. Already finding a triple set of kills. Well, make it a 3v2 now, as Mateus is able to fire back, but Smacker will get smacked with the shotgun and the 416 combo. And now it's all down to Mateus, the Nomad player. Still, he was able to pull off a few noteworthy plays, but with 23 seconds remaining, 3 kills to find, not a whole lot of chances really, but just as I say that, he does find a nice headshot onto Sushi. The remainder of Ferox needs to play a very careful game here and not give away any more frags, because otherwise this is going to be a disaster. 8 seconds remaining. He has the diffuser, so technically he could go for an attempt at plant, but with so little health, there's not a single chance of that happening. There's the round gone. The timer has been drained, and Ferox are back in the lead.
Yeah, and what a clean way to finish off the round too. They just shut down any real type of aggression. Skyfire did spend a lot of time getting inside, getting some breaches done, but it wasn't enough. By the time they got there, Ferox were already waiting. They still had so much of their utility left to hold off any points, and not to mention their players themselves just being on point with their shots, making sure that all the appropriate angles were held and that there was nowhere to drop the round either. They didn't let Mateus claw his way back in there. There was no chance of that really happening. So I think we're back to the Ferox that we're very excited to see when they start opening rounds very strong. But again, do we see Skyfire get an opening and able to close it out? That might be their ticket back in, but they've got to do it a bit quicker.
Yeah, they certainly need to go with for the push a whole lot faster, because Ferox right now, they are the gods at draining out the time. They are the gods right now who are slowing down all the momentum that Skyfire do, and it even you can see that during their initial attempt at just even entering the building. They're so hesitant that they dump all of their drones in through the hatch, trying to get as much information as possible. It's not the same Skyfire that will be white swinging, peeking, and being the frag gods like they were on Villa.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Still managing to put it back a little bit, but yeah, the main point just being all of that time being drained down by Ferox. It was one round, so maybe we get to see Skyfire a little quicker on this one, but without any frags just yet, we should be... Oh, whoops. He'll get it out there eventually. No, maybe not. Just give it up. One more try. Third time's a charm. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, that'll do. This should gain just some kind of information for the time being. What does also gain some information is that C4. Oh my god. Good night, Archie. That is the only hard breacher that Skyfire had as well.
And that sucks when you start running out of time, not to mention they've got to now rotate around, grab the diffuser, make sure they don't lose it. And so, just again, time being burned out by Ferox all off the back. What a beautiful little C4 coming out from Todd. This man has been on fire throughout the series tonight, and should certainly be applauded right now. Sushi as well, now stepping up. Jigsaw gone. This is looking real strong again for Ferox. This is where they have to come back. But Skyfire are being shut down before they even get inside. 2 members left. We could be looking at a flawless round to put Ferox on 5 points. Sushi, the only one even close to being eliminated. They're already doing runouts right now. Ferox know how much in the lead they are.
Yeah. Finally, Mateus is able to shut down Deptra, so at the very least that's a 2v4. No more chances of the flawless round. Sequence might be onto something here. He's looking for that frag with the SMG-11. The magazine should provide just about enough ammo to get rid of one of the defenders. Does find Shade. That's already a solid start. Could be another one here as it's a 3v2. Now has the ACOG as well to play off. There's the angle. Then Sushi is now downed it out. 2v2. This is now very much workable. Todd does find the M10 14 kill onto Mateus, and now Sequence is all alone against 2 very healthy players of Ferox.
Yeah, but 50 seconds and a 1v2 absolutely in the realms of possibility, but not when you walk right through the front door into Warden's sight. And now that's Ferox 5 points. They are but 2 round wins away from being crowned champions right now, Cthulhu. They are making each of these rounds look incredibly strong as well. It looks like Skyfire's grasp on the series is starting to slip away, and Ferox's iron fist is about to shut tight.
Oh, maybe, just maybe, Ferox will be able to shut it down to not let any more losses slip through. Maybe this is where they claim their match point, but for the time being, kitchen service and cooking will be present for the defense. It has been very defend-decided so far. Skyfire were able to defend both of the times they went to kitchen here on Cafe in this matchup, so potentially Ferox are looking at repeating the same case here and making it even more so defend-decided.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Yeah, and that's scary if you're Skyfire right now. You're already struggling to stop bleeding the rounds right now. You haven't won one since you were sitting back onto defense, and now, like you said, you've got to attack the site that You defended successfully both times, didn't really have to worry too much about it. Ferox have been on a rampage throughout the last few rounds, and now we're getting the frag-heavy operators coming in. Like, I love when Deptra gets onto that Vigil. It can be quite do or die, for sure, when he pulls it out, but when it does, it really do. And so, the other one that has really been picking up too is Top. I mean, the man isn't sitting there with a whole lot of frags right now, but the ones he's got have counted for so much.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was an absolute menace during the Oregon game. He was the one who put the fear into Skyfire's players, and right now he, once again, getting reignited here. For the time being though, it's also Deptra who's trying to get the run up here as well. I'm still surprised that Todd is running the M1014 rather than the UMP, but nonetheless, he was still able to get the frags for himself, and that's all that matters. Shade with the UMP's attempt to help could be coming through, but it's Sushi to actually kick things off here for himself. A C4 could be maybe. No, he won't. Okay, so at the very least, an MPX kill onto sequence, and that is already a solid beginning.
Yeah, one man down, no sledge now to knock down the castle barricades. That's super annoying. Now you got to actually use, limited utility on that instead of basically an unlimited hammer. Real rough for Skyfire to finish this one off. I mean, being a man down is already quite a pain, but now having to walk through the doors that Ferox will want you to, they're going to have to hope that Smacker stays alive because they need him to open up some certain passages right now. They start to push in, but again, it's the clock running down just a little bit. You need to start moving in, and it looks like that is what they're going to be doing right now. Very aggressive push by Archie right now. He's got a lot of good cover right now. He's managed to get himself into a great position. Smacker backing him up as well. They may be able to make something happen in here. Smack can get it in and get the plant. Shade has been locking it down. Deptra shuts down Mateus in the background, and now this is where we've got to see it happen. But oh boy, Shade has got his eyes on the prize. He knows what's about to go down, and around the corner comes Todd. He also, eyes on the prize, one left to go, and we are about to get ourselves a Ferox match point right now. Unless Jigsaw has been praying to every god in existence right now, he is not going to win this 1v5, and we will be seeing Ferox on match point.
Well, there's still a minute to go. Jigsaw still has quite some HP to pull off. We saw a few clutches to come out. That's a nice double kill. Could he find a third one, though, for himself? He has some knowledge about it. He can hear some footsteps being made. There's a Todd with the M10. Does find another one. That's a triple as well. 2 more kills here in a span of 40. You could have potentially jinxed it here, Smite for Ferox, but still 30 seconds to go. Jigsaw with the commando. 5-5-2 could very much clutch it out here. There's a prone defender. He knows that he's somewhere up close. He has the eyesight aimed right at that position. He knows that there's somebody out there. He sees the Jaeger. There's a quad kill. Can he find the ace? 15 seconds remaining. Shade needs to play a very careful game not to give away that frag. 9 seconds remaining, but that shot connects. It's an ace for Jigsaw.
Jigsaw with the eyes of a god, knowing that he was on the other side of the wall, and that wasn't even the only impressive thing he did in that. That was a 1v5 clutch to keep the match point at bay. He was touching into the broadcast somehow because he heard me talking smack, heard me calling around, and said that today is not the day that Skyfire fall. Still in this right now, Cthulhu, and I am so happy to be wrong.
And probably Skyfire as well will be quite happy about that as well. Jigsaw, the absolute unit here for Skyfire, able to keep his team intact in play and not allowing Ferox to gain themselves that sweet, sweet match point, for which they will be contesting this time on bar in round number 10.
I think this is the series we've just seen the most clutches, the biggest clutches as well. We've got 1v4s, now we've got a 1v5. Are you kidding me? This is great for a grand final, but now it's even keeping the rounds even. That's 1 win for Skyfire on attack, so that's got to feel good. and they did it from that point, but I mean, how many times can you rely on the clutch? It might look fantastic on a highlight play, and I cannot wait to see it on Twitter, but I want to see them win the rounds too. I want to see them pull this one back and not rely on one man and a dream at the end of a round here. Even if that dream was absolutely magical to watch.
Sure is quite magical. It's just, yeah, this was an absolute stunning clutch there by the man himself. Jigsaw has proven himself as one of the rather more absolutely phenomenal fraggers throughout the whole season of LPL Pro.
Okay, here we go. Jackal now coming on to the field. Going to be hunting down any of those roamers right now. It seems that that's a problem Skyfire are noticing, and they want to deal with it. Todd, this man, has gotten very important kills throughout the series. He's looking for one more. Hasn't found anyone out here yet, but that's information in itself. Although now he hears that heartbeat. So with that, he's just likely going to have to go and link up with the rest of his team, as I believe we've got Skyfire about to drop on in. You've got Archie all the way back out here, waiting for anyone to try and peek, waiting for anyone to show their face. But with the clock ticking down, there's only so long you can wait.
Attackers have located
And that is a really nice long angle as well that he's holding, which could be just the right key, just the right position to really play off. That push into the white stairs could also be crucial if it can really work out there. Meanwhile, Sequence trying to be prepared for the run out should it happen, but we'll be just backing out of that position for the time being, and it maybe just a whole drop down through the hatch.
But look at the clock, Cthulhu. This is half the round gone already, and what kind of progress has Skyfire really made? As looks like that's the progress they were looking for. Warden, the first one to fall. The Roman now gone. That was in their playbook. They knew that's what they wanted to do. Now it's on them to clean this round up and tie up the series. They've got plenty of time right now, for sure, but if we see Ferox hunker down and just play anchor, they may be able to survive throughout this. Remember, Archie's going to be tracking anyone that tries to roam, and Deptra hanging out here, just waiting for whoever that was to make their way through the window. But you can imagine they know. But again, this is still Skyfire being so cautious when that clock is not very high.
Oh, Deptra. Oh, Deptra double gets that shot, and that is a huge shutdown here. The flank that nearly has me choked, nearly cost Skyfire the win, but oh man, a 3v4 is certainly going to be a painful one to deal with, as Deptra finds his third one here as well. Sushi is the one, and Deptra with a quad kill here for round number 10.
We're one round away, Cthulhu. One round away from Ferox taking the entire series, taking the entire season, moving in, taking away the first place seeds team as well. And Skyfire from that round robin looks so strong. But Ferox, I don't know what they did between map 1 and 2, but they have come back with something absolutely incredible so far. But we've yet to close it out right now. They've been running down that clock. They've been buying time. Deptra has been on a rampage. They know when to push, and they know when to hide. And so far, it feels like they just have Skyfire's number throughout most of these rounds. But this is yet to be Skyfire's strongest performance since Villa, so we cannot count them out.
Yeah, Skyfire so far were able to prove that they are still a force to be reckoned with. They still are able to make it a very competitive match, and the moment you slip up, even for a slight second, they will be able to run away with a full round. Here, right now, throughout the whole cafe, they were able to show us that very thing. The moment Ferox would slip up, they would be already there to just completely annihilate the opposition. So, for the time being, the reading room defense that previously has been won out by Ferox on round 11, this could potentially be the final one, or maybe this could be the beginning for Skyfire's return here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really call it until you see the first few kills, but even then, both teams have shown the comeback potential for sure. I mean, probably Ferox a little more so than Skyfire, but you can't count either side out right now. This match point, it's got to be putting a bit of pressure on, but you can imagine that Ferox have got to be making sure that they don't let it get to their head. They don't want to let it slip away. Remember the curse. We call it a curse for a reason. And this is exactly the type of place where that curse would kick into effect here, because this is totally possible for Skyfire to come back, and then even come back on map 5 if we got a coastline. So they have to stay concentrating. They can't let it get to them right now. Skyfire themselves can't let the pressure get to them either. But knowing these teams, their experience, and how they've come back throughout the maps, I don't think pressure is going to matter at all for them.
Yeah, both of the teams seeming to be very much in their kind of zone, in their mood here for all of the plays. Ferox more so probably than Skyfire, just waiting patiently for the push to happen, not really overextending anywhere, not really doing anything out of norm. Even Todd has returned back to the alibi now, that is which is seeming to be much more conventional, but at the time, for the time being, it's Smacker who's going in for the push. Live Drone up ahead does expect the peek by Deptra, and we'll be trying to get rid of him with the impact charge. We'll be actually not able to close it down, and multitude of the utility will be dumpstered there to get Deptra back up, and well, he's back into play, albeit with 20 HP still. He will be able to get the magnets back up and running.
But Cthulhu, that could be the difference maker. Getting him back up could be incredibly important. And look at the clock. Again, Ferox running it down. It's basically the same position with Smacker, just a little more health and he can be downed. That's the only real difference here. And now he's got to make his way down the stairs. Doesn't get the frag, and he really needed it with the clock at this point. So now he's going to have to try and push a little more. Jigsaw will get his push and finally finish off Deptra. The Wamai now gone.
Yeah, the Wamai now gone. We are back to it, as we did expect a little bit of a technical difficulty there. Smacker did manage to find a shot onto Warden, and now it is a 3v5. Skyfire looking like they just might be able to make a comeback here, but my lord, this is definitely the pressure is ramping up. We saw Ferox a few times able to clutch down and shut down any kind of push, but in a 3v5, things are definitely looking quite dicey here. Smacker is still able to rain the fire back down at the opponents with the R4C is still there. Shade is the last man standing, and even he will not be able to withstand the onslaught. We are going to full 12 rounds smite.
Oh boy, and it's lucky that that hiccup didn't steal us away from a victorious round right now, but one step away still is Ferox. Skyfire, we've got one last chance here to bring us to overtime, perhaps put us in the most tense overtime we'll see throughout the entire season right now. A really strong round from them in their previous one there to bring us to round 12, so I'm still feeling quite confident for them, but that one was opened quite strongly by them. They managed to very quickly get control of the map, and it does feel like they just leapt on some mistakes from Ferox. Very happy to steal them away. Now, if you're Ferox, you could be a little worried for sure if the worry is going to be setting in right now. You see Skyfire creeping back in. You know that curse is hanging over your shoulder. You don't want a repeat of last season, but so close right now. So close. And, well, you can imagine that Ferox are going to play this one a little more cautiously. I don't expect a lot of aggression coming out from them on this one.
Yeah, the aggression is certainly going to be maybe a little bit reduced. This is the last chance for Skyfire to push this into overtime, like you said, and for Ferox, this round could be pretty much meaning either they playing a few more rounds or this is it. They're claiming those $3,000 and the title of the champions of second season. And oh man, quite a whole lot of things will be dependent on this very round, Smite, and I could not be any more excited to see it unravel here.
Yeah, and the rounds that Skyfire have been winning, they've been winning them very solidly, so I'm really keen to see if they can get just one more solid win, because if they send themselves into overtime winning a few rounds in a row, especially if they were like what we just saw in round 11, then that alone could just be the momentum. Hey, get out of the way, mate. Yeah, thanks, mate. All right, so getting to overtime with the solid win could be the momentum they need, but let's check it out here. Remember, Ferox have been keeping them at bay, being a brick wall, not very aggressive since we saw them way back on Clubhouse. Not really matching what Skyfire have come out with, but it doesn't seem like they've needed to.
Smacker already took quite a fair bit of damage as well from the gunfight between him and Sushi, and nicely done there by Warden to shut down the breach as well. So Hibana will need to be a little bit more cautious. There's another peek, another attempt.
Oh, no.
All of it will be shut down pretty quickly, more so even now. And the breach is still actually going to be happening as Shade is now going to be slightly more exposed, but those peak points are still going to be able to get shut down. Todd finds another one onto sequence. This is now looking like a solid beginning here.
Yeah, and again, it's a sledge off the table, so Castle now becomes an actual problem with his barricades. The breach, it sounds like it did manage to go through it. They didn't get to shut it down once more. Sushi now will fall to even it up right now. What can Skyfire do? They actually now have plenty of time to make this work. Jigsaw mows down Todd. Todd, one of the MVPs, that's exactly who you want to be getting rid of, and he only takes no damage in that. It's only Smacker who's a bit low, and all of Ferox now falling back, but Warden is on the hunt. Warden is looking for anyone that he can find here. If he can get this roam play, if he can shut down them from behind, that could be the ticket back in to win the entire season.
Oh, Shade right now being blinded as well amidst all of the chaos. Warden decides to move in. Shade does find one, Deptra one as well. Now the momentum is now in favor of Ferox. Only a one-man disadvantage though for Skyfire. Archie and Mateus are still well and healthy. They're still able to frag it out. There's still plenty of time as well for the push to happen. And another flashbang to come through. Shade is going to be the first person to try to deny the push. There's the gunfight coming through, but right now running out of ammo, running out of health as well. It's back to a 2v2 situation. 40 seconds remaining. Warden and Deptra are the last men standing, and both of them are very healthy. Same thing cannot be said here against Skyfire players. And well, with 29 seconds remaining, Deptra finds one. Can he find a second one as well? All down to Mateus, the Nomad, the lone survivor of Skyfire, and he gets into the gunfight with Warden. Can he find that shot? He won't, as now it's a 1v1 situation. Mateus on a triple kill.
No, he doesn't. No way he gets it. His health is all but gone. 1 foot in the grave, and he falls right on in as Deptra will claim the final kill, win the map, and win the series, and win the season for Team Ferox.
And is the title as well. There it is. There's your grand finals champion. It's Team Ferox making the big push, making the recovery after the first map. And boy, oh boy, was this a sweaty cafe.
Oh yeah, and it was hard to expect after what we saw from the last few maps where they were incredibly one-sided. We didn't expect to be thinking, oh, we might be going to overtime. We very much almost did. We got the full regulation 12 rounds. We got the 1v1 at the end. We maybe even were looking at a clutch play, but no, it was Ferox indeed at the end. Deptra, the final man. And I mean, how fitting could it be for him to pick up the final kill there, finally picking up the title there. So happy for the man to pick up that win there. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen, Ferox, the champions. And, well, we have a champion on the line. Sushi, mate, how you doing?
Pretty good. Happy that it's over. Happy the season became first. It's over now, so yeah, pretty happy.
Okay, well, look, let's go right back to the beginning here, because I want to talk more about your success. First, what happened back all the way on Villa?
Villa was kind of just a throwaway map. I mean, like, going into it, I'm pretty sure the words were said, we'll lose this map and then just win the other 3, because we didn't really feel like playing. Like, Villa we just weren't confident on, or we weren't happy playing with. But being a BO5, you have to play like a lot of maps, so couldn't really ban it. So we just went in with the mentality of we're going to lose it more than likely. But it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, because it almost looked like, Villa kind of halfway down the line is like, heck it. No, even with some of the picks, cough, the Amaru, certainly there was a little bit of that kind of slight carelessness. But walk us through how did Oregon feel? Because this was rather one of your more better performed maps, and if not for the second to last round, that could have been a a flawless one.
I think you're talking about the round
That
where we
was my
like
reaction
TK
too.
twice, and then yeah, that was a bit of a dodgy round. Oregon going into it, I'm confident. I was confident in the club as well. Just like we knew 100% that we're gonna win those two maps. Kind of surprised that we got a 6-0 half. I think we got a 6-0 half on defense. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that was not expected because last time we went like playing against them, I'm pretty sure we went 8-7. Like, not an easy game by any means, but it was pretty happy when we got into defense. As soon as we were winning our like defenses and we got over like a 4-2 split, like just winning the map. We didn't have a doubt in our mind, so it's just confidence, I guess. They didn't have any, we had all of it. Pretty much it.
Yeah, well, okay, let's talk about that confidence then. When did you guys know, all right, we're going to be the champions?
We knew it at the start. Like, before going into the series, we were just... Yeah, I guess in the season, but more so like when after I completed like the vetoes, we were like, yeah, we're winning. Like, it's just, it went our way so much. Like, we 100% knew we were going to win those. Oregon and club were guaranteed, and then Cafe was going to be a bit dicey, but I mean, we were throwing a lot because we were trying to have fun with how we played today. Because yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely looked, especially on the second and third map, you guys definitely were enjoying yourselves there. But yeah, I was initially also trying to kind of predict which maps would be picked out. Funnily enough, I was able to actually nail all five of them. But yeah, I was rather surprised that you guys it almost looked effortless for you.
I mean, we haven't scrimmed with that roster in a while, so we kind of went in with the mentality of play how we feel like. If we're happy, we'll just win our gunfights and win the game. That's probably why we were losing so many 5v1s, whatever, or 3v1, which is, allowing Skyfire just to clip farm, basically. But as long as we were happy when we were playing, we were pretty much winning our gunfights.
All right, well, Sushi, before we let you go, just one more thing. Do you have anything to say to the rest of your team, the fans and the viewers here at LPL Pro?
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Everyone that we versed actually was quite scary sometimes to verse because there's a lot of gunners. And if you're not turned on, you'll definitely get gunned if you're not careful. So props to them. But yeah, thanks for everyone for watching. And massive shout out to the fans if we have any, but love you guys.
Well, look, you got at least two sitting right here, Sushi. So thank you so much for competing this season. Congratulations on the big one. And we hope to see you again in Season 3.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
And there it is. A champion words. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. He sounded the same as he did after every other win, but that's just Sushi for you, for sure. But I could hear a little tiny bit of stoked excitedness coming from him from picking up that win. Maybe a little bit of relief as well to close that one out. But Cthulhu, I mean, I don't think I expected the scorelines we saw tonight on the maps for sure. But after all is said and done, we got a pretty sick series on our hands. Ferox, the champions, 3-1. And for us, guys, I think that's all of us. So one last thing here, Cthulhu. Any final thoughts on the season here? And maybe what are you expecting here for Season 3?
Look, I mean, I'm just ecstatic at the fact that Season 2 ended up being a whole lot more comparative to Season 1. We had some extremely tight matches, some big upsets as well coming around. And honestly, massive congratulations for Ferox to finally claim the win in the season. And well, for Season 3, I just hope that we're going to be getting just about the same, if not more, amount of the spicy matchups.
All right, well, that's all from us, folks. So just before we jump out of here, just want to give a big shout out, a big thank you on behalf of everyone here at LPL Pro to our sponsors, WD Black, Vodafone, and Conquer. Of course, all of you for watching, all of the teams for competing, and everyone, we're going to see you all again in Season 3.